Coming in soon. Just put my makeup on. Getting my lipstick on, doing my toenails. Getting all pretty for the folks. Yep. Just trying my best. Just trying to get, the last few pieces. George, can't you be ready? Oh, yeah, I'm getting ready. You just gotta love this. Feels good. I didn't get a chance to shave. Oh, I hear it. It's like now I have cheek hair. Right? Is this what it's like when you get older? You get effing cheek hair? Hold on, everything's backwards. I'm looking in the camera thing. There you go. Does this thing do back hair? No, it's probably too much for it, right? I need a different kind. What's up? What are you guys doing? Oh, it's a little hot in here. It's just you, Arch. You're hot. Hold on. I'm not ready yet. Of course. I see everybody's here. All four of us. That's awesome. Hey, it's Henry, Johnny. Let's see. Yeah, nose, ears, and neck. I had to do my nose hairs the other day, but they grow back so fast, you just can't keep up. Did my ear hair, right? I feel better now. I got some of the ear hair out of the way. I could hear again. Hear hair. Right? I actually think some of that is actually used for hearing. I know there are hairs in the inner ear that actually are somewhat useful for hearing. I think they're growing out now. But hopefully one day I can do a comb over. TGM's here. What's up? He says, good morning. Ken's here. Right? So that Johnny's like, yeah, I'm going to watch your hour-long video. I know. Thanks to everybody that did watch it. It's one of those videos where, first of all, I'm long-winded, as we know. And, it's one of those where I mentioned to it, I showed you guys a little preview of it. I think even Brett said, wow, that's a nice little unit. Yeah, and when I looked into it, I mentioned before that when I looked into it, people were selling every little nut, bolt, and screw and, on like eBay and whatever. And I was like, okay. I mean, I like the machine anyway. I had one once. I think I did. It's a similar one. I did a video on it when I first started. I don't even know if it's still up. Fella bought it. It ran really good. Took a lot of work to get going again. It was very similar. Japanese. These are Japanese. I don't know if I really mentioned that. I probably should have played that up a little bit more, really, because in the world that we live in today, everything's Chinese. And, we used to think back to the Japanese stuff. Remember when the Japanese stuff wasn't all that great? Like, well, would you get a new tool, Arch? Yeah, I got these new tools. Yeah, they're made in Japan, but, now you're like, oh, is that made in Japan? Ooh. Okay. So, let's see what Ken's up to. It's usually 2 p.m. start. Let's see, Kenny. Stop in your live afternoon. Just in time to see you guys sign off. Yeah. That's 2 p.m. That's not Alabama time, bro. That's New York time. It's different. Oh, this light doesn't work. This one will have to work. So, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about lawnmower blades. Because I saw you guys talking about it. I'm like, ooh, I got some here. So I like that blower, and of course, I've said before that I'm both reluctant to do two-strokes because of the reasons I've outlined. And like Ken was talking today, I'm like, people don't know how to deal with them. They don't treat them right. They don't mix the fuel right. When I showed one a couple of weeks back, at Craftsman that had way too much oil in it, and it ruined the motor. Or they don't put enough oil in it, or they put just regular gas in it, and they ruin the motor. There's not much money in these things. However, I did get a customer out of it, and we'll take a quick look at something a little bit later. We'll look at something that I was working on. But that little edger, so that customer is back again, and I'm going to work on his edger. I started working on it. I want to show you a chemical I'm using. Just a sneak peek of the video I'm working on. So I got a bunch of other machines out of him, and, you know, he knows people. So I've said this before, sometimes if it's a new person, you know, sometimes you just have to take a chance and see what happens. Now, this is a different customer who has helped out the channel. The fellow that gave me the backpack blower to work on, that nice Echo, and, you know, he gave me some tire chains and a bunch of other things. I used the tire chains on the Sunstar this winter. And Big Mike gave me some more stuff. He came to some stuff. So this is what I mean. So yeah, I got to get to Big Mike's Sunstar real soon because I'm like late with everything. You guys are saying you guys are obviously busy. That's the time of year. I'm very busy. Plus I have my own projects. We're going to take a sneak peek at a few things. But, you know, that blower, doing a little research on it, I was like, wow, everything is available. You can get the whole machine for about $160, you know, used. Looks good. I've seen a few around that price range. They look kind of like the way this blower looked when before I started cleaning it. You know, of course, you're not going to know if the motor's any good, but they sell everything. So and it's made to come apart. And I was a little worried about that front seal, you know, any of the seals kind of going bad. However, the way it's made, it's not horrible to work on this thing at all. So even if it needed a seal. Now, I made some money on it, and I got a customer out of it. I didn't really make any real money on it because how much can you charge, right? But a labor of love, and I was able to put another cool machine back into the world again. It probably would have got thrown out. It did sing, and I feel good about it. I made a video on it, and that video is long because I thought to myself, I'm like, first of all, this flight, it does not work. It's not one of those machines that you're going to do a how-to on. Because everybody wants the, 1 minute and 36 second how-to. And if anything, can you fly out and fix it for them for free? That's what most people want in a how-to video. It's not a how-to video. There's nothing how-to that you can do in there other than how to, like, basically refurbish it. And do some diagnostics and make it nice. And my thinking was the only people that are really going to watch this are, one, people like us that are really into stuff like this. Just because you're into maybe small equipment or just engines in general or whatever, you think it's kind of a neat older machine. So that's one type. And the other type is somebody that's into this stuff and has one and is looking at it and thinking about it. Oh, that thing's been sitting out in the shed or up in the garage for a while. I didn't throw it out. I got it from my dad. This was a legacy machine. He got it from, it was his father's. So this fellow's a little older than me. So legacy machine. And I thought, well, you might as well show everything and they can just scroll through. It scares people away because they look, it's 40 minutes and they're like, geez, I can't give 3 minutes of my life to this. I don't want to, it's going to be great when they put like some of these, rocket scientists and stuff like Elon with the brain implant. People are going to have this stuff like in their brain. They're going to be watching it while they're walking around, just the way they do now, where they're out in public and all you see is this. They're looking down on their phone. Well, now they won't have to. They'll be staring off into space, right? Maybe then it'll get through, but most people just don't want to put the time in. It's not for those people. And when I put that video, I was like, well, people aren't really going to watch this. But over time, I like it because I had fun, and it's one of those videos that I feel, this is my own personal take, is that it's a legacy video. It's a video that for a number of years, until it becomes completely irrelevant because they don't exist anymore, or because somebody, years from now, if YouTube still exists in a similar form, years from now, somebody will look at it and go, who's this idiot Arch? And what the hell is a blower? And why is this thing so... Look at how old this thing is. Like people like my daughter's age, right? They're going to be like, oh my God, this thing is so old. People wore those things? I don't know, whatever. Let's see what you guys are doing. Ooh. nose, ears, neck, hair. Well, I need my glasses. I'm tired tonight. I am definitely tired. I did a lot today. I did a lot this week. And I need, like, tomorrow I think I'm just going to veg. Yeah, so you started an hour-long marathon on blower restoration. I know. It's just going to be one of those. By the way, my ass is old. Yeah. She's, you get hair everywhere. You don't want it, right? Right? Nose, ears, neck. TGM says, hey, Ken's here, bro, bushy. Brows get bushy. My brows don't seem to get bushy. It feels like they don't even grow anymore, except for like 1 or 2 hairs every now and then will grow out. I won't notice it, and it'll come down and stab me in my eye pupil, right? And I'll be like, what is this thing? What is flying at me? No, it's a hair blowing in the wind or something. This is, hey, Ken, stop by. Yep, saw that. Mr. All, usually 2 p.m. 1 p.m. real time. Yeah, I was in the garage, not in the house. I know, that's cool. I can't get proper service. I was working outside in the yard and stuff, and I was like, well, should I just turn this on? And I probably could have, because being a little closer to the house, I would have gotten my local area network. Out here, it's really, really iffy, but I'm going to be working on that. I'll mention that in a minute. Yeah, those guys, yeah, more for our European friends. Yeah, absolutely. And they do add a nice perspective. It's nice. But I actually watched the whole thing. I finished it up a little while ago. Why? Afterwards, while I was in here cleaning up and stuff, because I caught a good part of the ending of it, even though I was still in and out. I took a break. I ate, snacked. Do 2 stores drain out their fuel. Yeah, Ken was saying that. By the way, let me put, for those of you that don't know, let's just put Ken's up, because I don't think I've done that yet. Hold on, while I'm thinking of it. Bleach has got his own life going on. Let's see. Unhinged Harry says, thanks. Some good tips here. Everyone else mentioned about to clean the car. Well, check this out. Yeah, he was on the Briggs Palmer plate thing. Let me put Ken's up. And where are you, Ken? Well, I'm thinking of it. Are you not online? How could you not be online? I guess you're not online. You gotta make me search for it. But you were just online, though. Why don't I have... Oh, I know why. I know why. Hold on. Let me search for it. I'm just going to think of one thing at a time tonight, because otherwise I will be all over the place. Yeah, here we go. Let's see results closer to you. No, not now. Yeah, let's put this link. And of course, for those that don't know, which pretty much everybody here does, but people come in and out. And I want to see that video you just put out too. And I want to put it, well, that's in here, but we don't see these links afterwards, which I'm not sure why. You have yours turned off too, Ken. I think it's just a button you have to click. Let me go into edit and put it in the description. That should be his homepage. Yeah, 8A. Okay. Also in the description. So if we mention it again later, we start talking about something from Ken's, the link is in the description. Anybody watching it, because sometimes people watch my live shows after the fact. I think more people watch it after. So we're up early in that deal. Yeah, I never trust anything the customer says or what they do. This one customer, I swear, he just lied to me. And I was just working on that nice little red Craftsman I showed you guys. Well, it's a mess. I'll put a video out on it. Maybe we'll take a few peeks at it. And he was like, that air cleaner was so packed. It's the Star style blade. Somebody ground off the Star and put a new blade on it. And probably because somebody hit something or whatever. I don't know. And obviously it was no fuel in the fuel tank like in the past several years. And he said to me, oh, it's not bad. I just used it. It's just like, it was an acre or something. I'm pretty sure that was him. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go look back through the texts. Like, what? Why lie? Like, and he was kind of odd anyway because he dropped it off and ran. Oh, I got to go catch our mailman. He's one of my neighbors. I'm like, and then he calls me. He literally texts me literally the next day. How you making out? I told you it's going to, you're like on the list, right? You're on the list. It's at least a week, maybe more. It's a day later, bro. I'm like, you dropped it off on a Friday afternoon, Saturday, and you texted me Sunday morning. I'm like, is there something I'm missing? Are we okay? Because when I see stuff like that, and then I sent in some pics of what was wrong with it and stuff. He said, well, what are we talking? I said, I don't know. I'm not saying anything right now because I'm just showing you what's wrong with it. I got to check the engine out now. Let's see. Mater's work. Is that Mater here? Hey, Mater. Yeah, I do need more makeup. Yeah, Brian says, I look great compared to a lot of people. It's so funny. It's just kind of neat. Perfect. Thanks. Had a home life drink from with the crumbly foam air cleaner. Like Drake's coffee cake, all crumbly. Oh, well, by the way, I wanted to write it in, but you remember when Stella said that she put, what the hell she put in her washing machine, right? Oh, her rags, right? And you guys are making fun jokes. You know what I thought of? No, Stella puts in, the foam air cleaners into her washing machine. You know, like the cheesy foam Briggs air cleaners. That's what she puts in there. That's what I was thinking. I don't know why. I think I was eating. I had shit all over my hands. And are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Yeah, yeah. Hey, Tommy. Tom knows he's here. Also, in a little bit, I also wanted to show Mater something. I'm going to go on his live soon. Let me put Mater, fellas, because I forgot last time. Hold on, we got a little housekeeping to do. Let's see, we've got to find Mater's workshop. Right, that's what it is, right? I can't find anything because I have it set to where there is no history, no passwords saved, period. Like, it won't even remember, usually you set it so, hold on. Usually you set your browser to where if you're watching a YouTube video and, you close out the browser, it's a long video, like one of mine, and you come back and like days later, a week later, I do this with Musty and people like that because they have long videos, and it remembers where you were. I set all of that off. No data collection as best as to my ability because of that hack. So I'm like, it's not remembering anything. And I log off everything every night. Let's see. See, this is Mater's workshop. Ken's engine repair, Mr. Mower, Tom Dolby repair. Yup. Let's see. Where is it? Just going to search here. Right, it's Mater's workshop, right? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. He's working on something. Let me go to his homepage. Yeah, here it is. This is the homepage. So let me just put this in there too. Into the description it goes. And I'll also put it in the channel for us. I try to do that, especially... Oh, did I get that right? I think so. Hold on. Maybe 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6123. I'll save it. So if I start talking about somebody or whatever, I like to make sure that, I give them credit. We could talk about you too, Tom. Mr. Dolby repair. But no, that's not on my mind right now. So one of the things I wanted to show a little tech talk. So we're going to go here. So a couple of things coming up. One of them was I wanted to do a little bit of tech talk and kind of split it in two ways. And I wanted to show Mater the Sony EV-1 and the EV-10. I want to just talk a little bit about that, like 10-minute segment. Because I like to talk about that stuff. and I don't want to talk about it too long because I know not everybody cares. But if you're looking for something to like up your game, you want something a little bit different than like this guy here, you know, and we're going to use this in a minute. And the one that's up there, which is basically the same. These cameras are really nice, and you can get them used, of course, but the Sony EV1 is newer, so you probably could get it used, but I like that camera a lot. And one of the nice things about cameras like that is that they're video-centric. So, and I was just watching, I forget who it was today, one of another fellows who does like a lot of rescues, you know, trucks, diesel trucks, stuff like that. And he's like, I'm sorry, I filmed that footage, but the camera shut off. Yeah, because he's using an effing GoPro. They're really nice and they're really handy, and they're pretty durable. But they, especially when it gets hot, they'll shut down. They won't record. They fail to record. They just freeze. You think they're on. You think they're recording, and you got nothing. You got umgats, and then that's like the worst thing. It's one thing to like, oh crap, I forgot to press record. What's different when you press record and you think it's going. So the other thing is, so stuff like that is nice, but the EV1 is about the size of this. And I showed it, I think it was last week. When you take the bottom off, it's a very small camera. But it's video centric because these are cameras. They're camera bodies. They're smaller versions of like what was the full frame for photography. You don't want a photography camera because it's a photography camera that can take videos. These cameras in the APC lineup, they're made smaller, and then everybody got the idea that, oh my God, all these YouTubers, right? That might be a thing for us. So they got the idea to make things a little small, a little bit better for us, and give it a little bit more of camera video capabilities, because the bigger cameras, generally speaking, until more recently, they're just cameras. They're for taking pictures, photography. So now you have like the EV1, which is not only is the menu, everything leans more towards video, because on most cameras, everything leans more towards photography. A lot of shit you're probably never going to use if you're a YouTuber or you just want to take videos. And then they got the bright idea of doing things and building a camera that's a little bit more suited for vloggers and YouTubers. So that's why I'll get into that in a bit. And we got Natalie in what's in the news tonight. What's in the news in clown world? We're going to go over to Redacted, and our lady friend Natalie says, boobies are back, fellas. And I'm sure you fellas are glad to hear that, because I'm certainly glad to hear that. So apparently the Brits over there in Britain, because that's where they are, they got a little tired of some of this woke speak and being told what they can't say and what they can't say and what they can't say. So things like chest feeders, like you can't say breastfeeders, you know, like you've had with somebody with your breast. I haven't recently done that. In fact, I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think I'll ever get an opportunity to either. Although some people today think that's a possibility. And so those are the same kind of people that are trying to take away, well, the general speak that most of us, strange words like, oh, well, anyway, I'll just let her talk about it. Right. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. And I just want to talk also a little bit about blade tech and stuff. When I wanted to show you a couple of blades I got in from a company. And unfortunately, I can't really use them yet because they're really more for a Toro. But I do have a Toro machine coming up, which I showed you guys last week. It's all in parts sitting up on a little rolling cart. So I guess when we'll get to that. And it's a bunch of other machines and vlogs and updates and stuff. So if I can remember all of that. So crazy stuff in the news. Like one of the things for those of us that live in the Northeast. I watch a fellow, his name is Yanasa TV, and him and his wife were more like city people. They moved out a bunch of years back to North Carolina and started to become farmers, and then they're into tech as well, and became YouTubers, and they also make documentaries, and they got really into supporting the bison, buffalo, and farmers, not so much as farmers. They're supportive of farmers. They talk a little about stuff going on, like in Pennsylvania with the Amish, some of the crap that the government's coming down on these people, and small farms in Oregon that are like 1 acre and 2 acres, and they're being thrown out of business and just choked to death. And they make documentaries on the bison and what it's like to, how to deal with the beef industry, what's happening, how they're shrinking it, how they're giving everybody a hard time. And so something he came out with the other day was, that big spending bill that our government just passed, right? Where most of the money goes to like Ukraine and Israel, but the umgats to us. Well, after Hurricane Sandy, for those of us who live in the Northeast, especially where I am here on the island, we ran out of everything. And they were, you can't really airlift a lot of stuff in. It's crazy to do that. So one of the things that we were running out of was fuel. And over in New York and Manhattan, over at Battery Park, one of the things that the Coast Guard allowed them to do was essentially bring the tanker ships in as far as they could, and they ran hoses over the bay, and they just basically ran them right up to the docks and started filling tanker trucks and sending the tanker trucks out this way. So we could only get about 2 gallons of fuel, 2 to 5 gallons. I think it was pretty much whatever you could physically hold and stand on line, and then you could go. So we had very little. Of course, food and water, depending on where you were, was a pain in the neck. And this went on for weeks. So in the wisdom of the government at the time, they decided to put aside, I don't know how many millions of gallons of fuel, oil, and gasoline. And they found, I think, a place in New Jersey, because New Jersey got hit really bad. It was some of the distribution areas and all the catwalks and all that, and steel and everything they have up that goes over the tankers to fill the tanker trucks. A lot of that got really badly damaged. And so they came up with the idea of essentially storing this. Now, there's been, arguments over how it's going to work, and there's been some typical government bureaucracy and inefficiencies. But the bottom line is that fuel was there. In the wisdom of the government, they decided that they needed the money. And in that bill, they literally sold it all and closed the whole program down for 15 minutes of government operational financing. So if we get hit now with a storm, and if you look at farmers in particular know a lot more about weather and climate, the solar cycles, probably than just about anybody, probably just about as much as the real scientists out there. And they'll tell you that we're probably going to be due for a hurricane, especially in the Northeast. It's been a while. We know they run in 7-ish year cycles, whatever. And in particular this year, we want to be careful. You notice the weather is very odd. It was cold last night. It's cooler tonight. It was nice today. We're seeing different activity in the sun. There is the Maunder minimum and the Maunder maximum, and then there's all the other weather cycles and stuff and the jet streams and all of that. So I know that goes a little bit over my head, but the bottom line is think about fuel, diesel, food, things of this nature. But when it comes to fuel, we had that fuel. It will now, if it's not gone by now, it will shortly be gone. We will not have it. The government's just completely out of hand. So in the news, right, we just got screwed again. It's all for the people. So, and just to add to a little bit of insult to injury, which is just absolutely crazy, I'm actually having with New York State because I get my health insurance from them. And I'm a diabetic, so if I don't inject, right, I will die. I'll get very sick in a short order of time. Well, they took my insurance away. And they're just making it almost impossible. So now I have no insurance. I just had to buy some medication out of pocket, and I really don't have the money for it. And if I have to start, and I went over for some physical therapy, and they were supposed to pre-authorize. They didn't pre-authorize. That's their problem. I have to fight with them because they sent me a $390 bill when they were supposed to pre-authorize. Now I don't have insurance. It's an absolute nightmare while they're handing out $10,000 each to these illegal people that they are bringing over here, along with the United Nations and all these NGOs. It's just bizarre. So all I can say is don't expect Big Brother to do anything other than to shove the big red, white, and blue dick up your ass. So prepare yourself. Moving right along. Let me see what you guys are up to. Let's see. Oh, there's Robbie. Rob W's here. My friend Rob Walker. Let me back up. Let's see. I think the explosions. Let's see. Nice road trip. Where'd you go? I see Johnny. Yeah. Let's see. Everybody saying, hey, let me catch up. Let's see. It's the agenda. Yeah. That's the agenda that's up. There's a few other things on there, which, I'll probably remember. Hey, wants to know if you bought the Harley yet. Yeah, the Harley. Yeah, Tom was talking about buying a Harley. No, spring hit, and I lost time to shop. Yeah, because it's busy now. Yeah, Bart says, yeah, you guys make money and not in the business of trying to entertain and out of trouble. Yeah, it's a lot of work now. There's a lot of stuff. It's a little weird. And at Ken's show today, we were talking about, even last week, a little bit about what are you seeing, coming in. He says, Tom says, that's my problem, the darn GoPro camera. Yeah, so I just wanted to show that. Let's see, Rob W, in case our RM comes in, we'll call Rob Walker RW, and if RM comes in, we'll call him RM. OM M4/3, what does that mean? Seems familiar. The ZV-1, yeah, Mr. Moore also. Yeah, I'm going to show that. Yeah, I'm going to show that in a little bit. Yeah, the sharp blade versus knife. Yeah. Yeah, so Unhinged Harry, what's up, Unhinged? Welcome. So yeah, I wanted to show this blade, and so some of the little things that I know about blades, like what do I do? And so blades generally, now I can't tell you exactly what the metallurgy is on these blades, but I know that they're heat treated, like they're hardened. And I wouldn't expect, other than maybe the top blade manufacturers, to like maybe have a particular alloy, because that gets expensive. So it's certainly, they don't ever feel like they're like regular steel, like mild steel. Like they don't weld and drill that way. And I don't know if it's because they could be electrically hardened. They're heat hardened. Remember now, they're stamped. So to get the shape, they stamp them out from blanks. And then I don't know if they're how hot they would get it to stamp it, because, with manufacturing, whatever's easier on the machine and whatever's cheaper. Right. So we're not really sure. I tried looking up to see if I could find some blade manufacturing processes. The one that I did find is on those nice rotary knives, but this is high end. And they're drawn to a large degree. And then they're spun into position. So that's a completely different animal, right? That's like the stuff that Mick does and everything with those nice rotary, spool mowers and stuff. So that I don't want to base any opinions on our rotary blades, especially some of the stuff that we get. But remember, they're hardened. Now, the tips, what Klaus was saying, like if you blunt it, you get this sort of right angle. You do kind of get a little bit of that. Yeah, that's something to consider. But typically, I blunt the blades for your average consumer, because the tips, the blade itself, if you don't blue it, it is hard. And most people hit sticks and stones and rocks and garbage, and it will chip the blade. So, and if you ever look, not necessarily under a microscope, but you could put a really nice, good magnifying glass down, and a big one, and look at the edge of the blade after you grind it. And you'll see, because I usually flatten them first. I go over the top, I flatten it, because there's usually divots and chips and whatever. And I just think it's a good idea to kind of get that off. And then I put anywhere between, people talk about 20 to 45 degrees. Some people talk about 30, or who cares? So, everybody's got an idea about what the best angle is. That's another story. But you put your angle on that you want. And you'll notice, and you'll look at the edge of the blade, it'll be, if you saw it underneath the microscope, it would be just a mess. And of course, that profiling is going to make it weak. And so it won't hold that edge. So if you flattened it a little bit, just a little bit, you probably would make the tip of the blade more resistant to incursions from things like little chips and stones and rocks and, hard branches, knots and branches. Maybe, you might use it for a while. And I've noticed this with some of my customers. I do it with my own stuff too, because well, with some of my blades, and a couple of videos ago, I was talking about how I have some blades that I kick around and I burn them up because we'll run over bushes and, you know, debris, and after the winter is over and I go out in the back, especially, there's all kinds of crap back there. So that beats up your blades. Now, if you're in a sandy soil or whatever, that's a whole nother story. That'll just wear the tip of the blade. It might even soften the edge and make it more durable. Let me show you these blades. Let me get these blades. Hold on. Now, if you're talking about, now I'm saying this for your average customer and even for some of my blades, because your average customer, if you give them a blade, they'll put it on upside down. They don't police their lawns. Like the guy that I was just looking at, that red Grassman, where I'm like, why did he grind the star pattern off the blade hub? Somebody ground it. I mean, I'll see. I think I have a pic of it. These blades are brand new. Hold on. I'll turn this camera on. Let me set it up. You're going to see darkness for a minute. Hold on. Turn the light on. I'll take them out of the wrapper. But look at them. They're fresh in the wrapper, fellas. Is it focusing? Let me press the button. That's a bit better. Some reason that it'll focus eventually. Yeah, let me pull them out of this wrapper and we'll take a better look. Now, you know, these knockoff blades, I mean, we can't guarantee what they're made out of or what the process is. But this is more like the profile that, for like the Toro, it has the cupping on it. And if you've got for your own, you know the customer, or somebody has like bluegrass lawn or something really sweet, nice grass, by all means, sharpen it till a knife's edge. You know, because they're not going to, somebody that takes that much care of their lawn, right, they want a really nice cut. You don't want to bludgeon your lawn. And this one is not sharp at all. Right, I'll see if I can get in closer. And I mean, it has got that typical edge that we were talking about. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, for some reason or other, it's not focusing. Let me see if I can. Yeah, you know what? We'll put it in. Let me see what mode it's in. Where's my other flashlight? I'll just take this one off of the camera. Hold on. Certain modes. Yeah, let's take it off of that mode. Put it into this mode. Yeah, there you go. See, certain modes with this camera. Hold on, I'm shaking the camera a little bit. Yeah, you can see it. See it, fellas? You can see it. Let me zoom in. See if it'll get it. Yeah, this is the cheaper camera, so I don't think there's enough light on it. There you go. You can see the edge. See how it's flattened? Let me take the light off the camera and put it right next to it. I know I'm shaking it. You'll get used to it. There you go. See it? It's flat. And that's typically how... Oh, let me switch. That's typically how we get our blades. And I think the edge, that kind of edge with the slight right angle, like Klaus was saying, I think that makes the blade a little stronger on the edge, a little more durable on the edge. However you want to talk about the physics of it or whatever. But I think that's one of the things that helps it to keep something that we could call an edge. And that will cut, you know, because you're trying to make a blade for the masses. You know, the people that like that put their blade on upside down or never sharpen it, that never change their air filter. And the ones that like don't come to us until it's too late. You know, and it's the death of a machine, right? But overall, it's a nice blade, and so I'll be testing this out. But it's really got this design on it. You see the mount style? That's more like what like the Toros and stuff. I'm like, why don't you have like anything regular? You know, but you know they send you what. Now while we're on blades, I didn't get a chance to prepare. I want to just go grab and show you guys something. I'll cue it up. So, I put out that video on the Turf Master, you know, the Toilet Master, which I like the machine, right? It belongs to, you know, my customer, the contractor Mike. Okay. Now let me move over. And I set up the Toilet Master, and it runs really good. So he brought it back, and something was wrong with it. And that was the one that somebody took the secondary wire from the coil and tucked it into the fins on the head, right next to the muffler. And of course, it damaged the insulation. So we had a problem with the other day, and I think it was two different problems. But one of the problems I suspected it had weird spark, which is something Brett was just talking about today. Weird spark. Now, when I repaired it, I said, why don't we just put some tape around the spot, you know, on the coil wire. I'll tape it up good, then I'll heat shrink it. And it may have gotten wet or whatever. I think something else happened as well. I think maybe he flooded it because he said it felt like it locked up. I suspect hydrolock. And when I pulled the air cleaner off, I saw, you know, gas laying in the bottom. It's a right angle style air cleaner assembly. Let's go take a look. But I did some footage, and I'm like, I didn't like the spark. So I retaped it, cleaned the plug, and then I'll show it in the video when I release the video, but I grabbed a new NGK plug, popped it on there, and it was sparking weird. It was, and you'll see it in the video, it was sparking to the back of the electrodes, not in between the tip or to the side, to the back, without touching it. The gap was fine. I'm like, this is just all weird. So anyway, bottom line is I got it running again. And I add some more tape to it. And then I put another layer of heat shrink on it. I put it back together. Cleared whatever was on the plug, whatever was in the carburetor, and it ran perfect. And I used it for like, I don't know, a couple of hours. So I'm going to use it just to make sure. Starting and stopping, getting it hot, see if I could fail the coil. That kind of thing. I said I would recommend buying another coil. He needs it right now because it's that time of year, like all of us, right? I said I would buy another coil and just keep it around. And if you have, I explained to him what I found and everything because I've been trying to like learn him up on stuff. And he agreed. I said I would really just go buy a coil, buy a factory coil because I don't trust these aftermarket coils. I've seen some issues with them, and my concern is, well, there's patents. I don't know how long patents last. Generally, if you don't want to get in trouble with a patent and defy a patent, whatever, you have to change something. So usually it might make something thinner, lighter, cheesier. But with an ignition coil, there's a spark timing built into the coil. And I think I saw this with a couple of machines, and that's one of the reasons why the Echo chainsaw that I have, I don't think I can get it working because I think the spark timing is off. I said, just buy a real coil. I said, if you want to take a chance, I said, you can buy an aftermarket coil. The problem is this. You're going to pay me to put it on, and if something goes wrong with it, it's probably going to happen when you're trying to make money, and then you're going to be paying me again, and you're going to be out the time. So I just buy a real coil. Keep it around. If you have a problem, you can describe it to me. I described it to him. We talked a little about it. I said, just give me a call, and I'll fit you in. Now let's go take a look at what else I found. Okay, so let me get to that. Let me go find it. This thing cut like shit. And I have to say that because it was truly that bad. And, like I said, I'm not really ready. But because I have been moving stuff around and, yeah, here he is. Let me show you the blades. They look like these blades. Hold on, I want to get caught up on anything. There's wires everywhere now. Cut horrible. Now, my lawn was a little high, but you know what? My Honda, I showed him the Honda cut. He liked the Honda, the HRX 217. He's like, I might want to get one of these. If I find one used, I'm going to buy it. I'm like, yeah, bro, it'd be a nice finish mower or for those. I'm like, I would imagine you have particular customers. He goes, oh, yeah. I said, so using the way the toilet master cuts, you wouldn't want that. So let me cue this up. Just want to show you the blades. I took a peek underneath. I know it's a little dark, fellas, but... Oh, let me move it over to this monitor. The Toilet Master. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Toilet Master. I'm just going to take a peek underneath the deck. I know it's a little dark, fellas, but you see the blade? It's this type. And they're aligned, but we don't see any issues there. And they don't look really dull. I had sharpened those. So
Maybe.
Just so you guys can see. All right, now you can let it down, Mike. Now, the other thing I wanted to show.
Those are the ones I changed out, like,
oh, those are the ones you changed?
Weeks ago, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could try resharpening them. Now, what you saw me fooling around
by the
with,
way.
hold on, jet going overhead, was these. Jet going overhead.
Just gotta love it. Always whenever you start a video.
This is so easy, this mechanism.
I love this mechanism.
And I just kind of push it in here, and you
let it
use two
roll.
hands, and you kind of just hold it stable, because it goes so easy. The best adjusters in the business. Same
Yeah,
thing
I
back
think
here,
they
you got
really
your
are
handle.
good.
Now, when
On
I got
the
it in
Turf
here, I
Master.
did clean them up, and I lubricated them, but they just, and when I was fooling around with it the other day, just the best adjusters I have ever had experience, bar none.
I really do like them right now. Hold on, let me show you. Let's see, was it the day before? Yeah, it's the day before. So I'm cutting it, I'm fooling around, right? I don't know if you can see it, but wait.
You might see it. I'll try a few different spots. Like here, it didn't get that. Like over here. Here we go. All right, so what it has a tendency to do, see all of this? See that? I don't know if you're going to get it, but it has it's one of those mowers that, yeah, all through there, there's all stuff sticking up, right? It knocks it down in one direction. And you know, some mowers, and you pull backwards, like here's a piece sticking up, right? You pull backwards.
Yeah, what's that holiday?
Another piece sticking up. And it cuts better, right? Well, my Honda HR, 217, look, sticking up, right? There's a lot of it, and I went over it. Oh, over here. All of this sticking up, right? Sticking up. And you see, I don't like that. That's a shit cut, right? All through that row is all sticking up, right? It doesn't have.
What does it make
suction.
hay?
It's got like
Was it a
the
fucking hay
gator
rake?
blade kind of thing. Here, sticking up. See, you get the point, right? It's all over the place. I'm just spoiled, but it's running good. Okay. Yeah,
it runs great.
Stripe
it's
here.
A tank.
Now another thing, I didn't set the blades on this. He said he put blades on or something. I don't know. It doesn't look like it. Maybe he's talking about the other one. All of this sticking up over here. Look at all of this sticking up.
Look at all of that.
Up. Like it couldn't even grab that, fellas. Sticking up over there. All right, I got to cut that area. Let me finish that, and I got to do the front. I got to move these machines. But it's running good. It doesn't really like this block-off thing.
Yeah, I just
Probably
made that real
plug.
quick. I had to make a block-off plate because he didn't give me the bag.
Happy with it, but it's running good. It's been starting up. I'm going to keep doing this. I'll heat it up, and then I'll get it to a point. Yeah, she's hot. She's just starting to cool down. Get it to a point where, get it really warm.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see.
Look, see, now here's where, before I lowered it down,
See, it's on complete holiday over here. Look at this one. Here's a holiday.
Yeah, it's like,
Right?
nah.
What the hell is that?
I'm not cutting that.
So lowering it down helped, but not by much.
Yeah, the damn thing is... Hold on, let me kill that for a second. It's like an effing hay rake, okay? It's just what it is. I mean, it's a great machine. I like the motor. Cowie motor's pretty decent. She's a tank. She's not like the Time Master at all. But it's a better... I think it's a better machine. Hold on, let me minimize this. Let me come back to you guys. But he changed the blades. I don't know why he changed the blades. Let's see. Let me come back to you guys. It sounds uncomfortable. Olympus Micro 4/3 camera. Oh, yes, the Olympus Micro 4/3. Gotcha. Yeah, but, that's... The thing is with the Olympus Micro, what I've been talking about is cameras that are more geared for YouTube. Not necessarily that cameras... spec-wise are better per se, but that they have things for YouTubers, and I'll get to that in a bit. Unhinged Harry says you can weld them, but you have to heat them up and let them cool slowly. Weld then heat, yeah, because you have to rehard them. And so I know it's like when you grind on them and you try to drill them or you remove weight or whatever. Yeah, I would think they would be induction hardening because it's quick. Yeah. Because you want quick. Like he says, okay, let's get technical. Austenite, martensite, brings back memories. Yeah, I was trying to avoid all that. But, we don't really know. Like, they're going to buy for whatever. Better companies are obviously going to look for something more in particular. But cheaper companies are going to try to get away with whatever they can get away with. And I'd like to find out who's doing what. So, Ken says... most blades have a land on the edge, not razor sharp. Yeah, because you're selling it to the masses, Bleach says, I enjoyed your video on your Echo Blower Arch. Thanks, Bleach. Says, I mowed my lawn on YouTube live tonight. It was fun. Oh, cool. Because Wrench is here. Hey, Wrench, welcome. Mowed live with nice comment. Yeah. Blade problems on toilet machine. Yes. Dilly, Brett says. He says, you may need a high lift blades for that. And I just used my Time Master earlier in the upper section of the backyard. Right, this is Barber's clean, even cut. Right, and I mentioned to him I wanted to run it past you fellas tonight, collective knowledge and experience. And I mentioned that to him too. I said, now I put usually heat bags, so I'm not sure why he put those blades on because he bags. He doesn't have a mulching plate or a block-off plate. I just made that quick because I was working outside on the shed and everything, which I'll show you later. The shelves. Right. I'm not going to do like a short video tonight because I haven't prepared it, but I just want to show you some outtakes. And I'm like, okay, I need to test this thing, because he'll use it like that. He'll stand behind it he's like, we'll stand to the side. I'm like, that's crazy talk. You see him after work. He's covered in shit, literally. I'm like, I'm not doing that. For nobody. I'm not. First of all, it's dangerous. You get hit with something. That's stupid. Right? I wouldn't have used those blades. I don't remember what was on there, but if you're primarily bagging, you want a high lift blade, and I'm sure it will cut better. I said to him, maybe this machine, because it's got a very, very flat deck. There's no tunneling or any kind of kinky design with these, where they come up with all these wind tunnels, super tunnel design, high lift. They don't. It's just a flat deck. So I said, that might be a problem. And maybe you can't really mulch with this machine. Maybe this is a bagger machine. You're going to have to experiment with it. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, and this is just me, I want to ask you fellas. When I went to go check the oil, I have it up on my table, my lift table, which is level. And I check oil there usually whenever possible. And I looked at the mower, and it was riding low in the front and high in the ass. And so I mentioned this to him. I said, you do you. I said, but I'm just, because you never know, people take things personal. I said, but for me, I said, what I usually have it, I set it to the height that I like, the cut height that I'm looking for. And then, generally speaking, because of the way my yard is, if I'm going to do the whole property, if it's high grass, which it often is, I set the front one notch higher. And what that does is if you have curb areas and curb cuts of weird little hills and whatever and little dips and divots, it's less likely to chop and scalp, in my experience. Differences between the end of the grass and like a walkway or whatever. I said, that's one thing. I said, that's something you probably come across a lot because you do so many different lawns. And it also allows the machine to cut and gobble up a bunch of grass, sort of process it, and then kind of reprocess a little bit. And it keeps the deck closer in the rear where the bags usually are and allows for a little bit better suction and disbursement into the bag, I feel. He had it the other way. I said, I don't know. I didn't try that. I probably should have. Maybe it would cut better. I did try it level, and then I lowered it, and it still cut like crap. What do you guys think? So I just wanted to put that out there. So I was thinking of all this while you guys were talking about it today, Ken, and I'm like, I'm way too busy to text and all this other stuff. I feel I'll just bring it up tonight, like last night's meal. And I don't know. It could just be one of those machines. Like I said, it's a great machine. I like it a little bit better than the Time Master. However, it's heavy. And for residential use, I mean, I'm trying to put some muscle back because I lost all that weight and everything. And I found it, if you're trying to like cut in, like my yard is a little narrow and areas this crap around, and you're trying to like cut in and do stuff, and you're humping this machine around. I think for a nice long little straight area that you want to get it done, it did get things done quick because it's wide, but for humping it around and whatever, and dialing it in and trying to get in and pull it backwards, I thought it was a little bit more machine than I would want. The Time Master is a little lighter, and I think for residential use, I think that might be a better machine. Now, I don't know if the Time Master has a slightly different deck and tunnel design. I don't remember. I have one out in the back. It's buried, and it's falling apart. It's thinner. So, Brett has... Excuse me, I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. Brett has one. Brett says, check out my Honda versus Time Master cut quality video uploaded. I saw that, yes. But I didn't comment because most of the time now I'm not signed in. And I enter the passwords manually until this hack issue is more resolved and I'm tighter and everything is tighter. That's just the way it is. So it's a bit more of a pain in the neck, because I have these long passwords and everything. But yeah, I saw that. And I couldn't really tell because you really didn't get good shots of it before and after. You got to get into the lawn and set up a camera, whatever. That is very subjective. But when you started it, I said to myself, well, as far as I'm concerned, the HRX 217 is going to cut it better. And what I did was I pulled out the HRX 217, I showed it to him, and then I ran over once the area that was, the whole lawn. I cut the lawn with his Toilet Master. And I said, what do you think? He goes, wow. I said, now granted, okay, I already cut it, and the lawn was kind of high. I said, but this is what it does anyway. As a rule, it cuts like this anyway. Now, of course, if you were to go over the second time or pull it backwards, it would cut really, really ridiculously perfect. But you know what? You don't need it super perfect because you come back tomorrow, like lately with the way the rain and all this stuff, the way the grass has been growing, you come back an hour later and it grew. So you don't want to get too particular about this, but this thing cut like crap. And like I say, it was more like a hay rake. Francis, good evening, Francis. Let's see. Yeah, and we talked about this, Brett. Is that Mike? It's grass. Mike, big Mike! Right? It's like, it's grass, right? I know. I'll get to you, Mike. I know the sun's still... I feel so guilty because people, like, I've been so busy. Like he was sitting trying to take a dump because this one guy, Rodney, he keeps giving me a hard time because I have his generator again. I showed you guys that generator. It stopped. It couldn't start it. I suspect that there was a problem with the switch. Because even when he went to pick it up, it didn't want to turn it on. Because when I first got it, it was really filthy. And I was blowing it with the air hose, and earwigs and spiders were crawling out of the sockets and stuff, on the generator. I'm like, I think I showed you guys last week how bad those rings were, the pickup lands. It was a mess. I said, it's probably the switch. But I don't know. You know what he did? He went to take the switch out, lost the nut collar on the front of it. Like first of all, you can't just take it out. There's a backing cover behind all the electronics and the outlets and everything. You have to take that off. And I said, and how do you even know it's the switch? Did you check the battery? Did you check the solenoid? Did you check the starter motor? No, because you don't know how to do it. What are you taking the switch and losing the nut? So I feel bad for him because he needs the thing. I'm like, but I'm like, bro, I pushed you aside. I mean, I pushed everyone else aside for you. I said, I can't keep doing that. I said, when you do that, you wind up making a lot more people mad. So he'll call me, and I said to him, calling doesn't really work. You should text me. No, I don't do that. I said, well, I don't really do phone. Like, because I'm out somewhere else. My hands are greasy. I'm dirty. I got my head in something. I'm in this and over here. I'm over there. I'm like, I don't, and like on top of that, like these people, I keep getting spammed from these companies that are trying to do whatever. I'm not answering the phone. It's pretty rare that I do that. So he'll call, and look, I just ignore it. And then I'll text him sometime later because that's what I do. It's like, he goes, he has the skag. I know. But Mike, the skag. He goes, I'm good. I have the skag. Yeah, I have to chase that fucker though. Yeah, because the scabs. He's got scabs all over from chasing the skag. It's too big of a machine. So contractor Mike brought over a Right. And you guys may know it, right? This thing, I showed it. I think I showed it once. It needs some work. It makes the skag look like a Home Depot mower, right? It's ridiculously overbuilt. Like the skags are nice, but this Right is truly a tank. It's ridiculously overbuilt. And it's not running right. And it's not set right. It's not adjusted right because he bought it used and I haven't had time to look at it yet. And it throws him around like a rag doll. And he's not a big guy. He's about my size. He's bulkier than I am because he's younger. He's obviously got more muscles nowadays and I don't have shit. But it tosses him around. I'm like, I watch him. It just drags him. He's like being dragged. He's thrown around. He's a strong guy. I'm like, oh my God, this thing's a night. Now, Big Mike behind the skag. If Big Mike says his skag is toying with him, these things are a pain. And that's why I say, like, they're really good. I like them. They have a use, obviously. And it's nice that they're beefy. But it's hard. It's hard dealing with these things. Let me catch up. This is just covering the rear exit shows the tunnel to fill. The tunnel will fill up in grass. No, it didn't fill up with grass. I said to him, he goes, yeah, there's a plug that goes in. I said, yeah. I said, it'll probably help the proper plug but there's no real airfoil in there. It's just a flat deck. I think the blades would be the answer to that, but we won't know, He goes, that mower needs to be closer to the ground. That's part of it. But when I did lower it, it's still cut like crap, right? Because what you saw picking it up, that was what it did. And I mean, I'm not going to cut my lawn really low. If you cut it too low, it'll burn, right? Some grass doesn't like it. I'm like, I want it a little bit higher. You telling me I can't cut it a little bit higher and I'm going to it's just crap. Get rid of the blades. Try a different blade. I think he needs a better blade on there. Bleach says he had a Toro recycler once. I traded for the Craftsman snowblower years ago. Yeah, and I'd like to compare it to the recycler is a different. The Time Master is and the Turf Master is very different than the recycler. The recycler does have a fancy design of a deck, and they changed it a little bit over the years, but it is a bit more of a wind tunnel deck, and this is what most of the Toro recyclers use, and they cut fine. Some of them have another U-cut in them. A lot of the blades, you'll see, it'll have, like, it has a little piece of one here, but it'll have another, maybe one or two. I don't remember which ones they are. I think, remember, this is a knockoff, so I think the actual recycler blade has more. I have some in the other room, but I know they have more. So to not interfere with the patent or whatever, because there's a bunch of different patents on these blades. So if you're a knockoff company, you got to make a change. which probably makes the blade not as good on some level. Maybe, you know. Robert says, my HRN 216 cuts better. It doesn't cut better than my 217, sorry. And I have more numbers than you. I have a higher number. Mine's a 217. Yours is only a 216. I just sold one of those. What was it, an HRR? Is that the one I just sold recently? What was that one? I forget, fellas. You guys might remember. Listen, I like the Hondas and the Toros and the Craftsmans, and I like them all slightly for different reasons. Everybody knows I love my Honda HRX. Okay, so I have the opportunity to play around with a lot of different lawnmowers, right? I sell hundreds, and I work on all these machines, and I usually bring them out for a test cut. And I can tell you that rare is it that when I pull a mower out to test it, that rare is it that I cut for more than 5 minutes. Because I'll get through a certain area, and I'm like, what am I doing? Let me just go get my Honda. I don't want to play with this stupid lawnmower. This sucks. I don't like it. It's pretty rare. There's a couple that I like. Some of the Toros that I do like. The Craftsmans I like because a lot of the older ones, they're easy to fix. The parts are available. They're very durable. They cut pretty good. I do like the machines. I just got one in. I might want to show you that in a minute. It's a rear drive with the big wheels in the back. And I'm almost tempted to keep that one. I do have a few other favorites. Yeah, recycler blades now are Gator blades. Yeah. And Brett says, yeah. He goes, wait, hold on. Wait. Let's see. Bleach says, plenty of spiders in the garage. I notice all the earwigs are out. He goes, oh, yeah, your car warranty is running out. Yeah, yep. They do make high lift blades for both the Time Master and Turf Master. Yeah. Recycle blades are now Gator blades. Me too. It says, me too, Arch. I have the 217. Yep. And then Robert, RW says the actual recycled blade had no notches and solid and bent. That was like the original, so maybe the much older one. I've seen a few of those. Yeah. Yeah. This is the design that a lot of them wound up with. Semi-mulch. But notice how, like, again, this is a knockoff. There's not much of a wing, fellas. I mean, there's a bit of a, obviously the whole blade has a bit of this. So I'll try him out. I've got a whole rack of blades over there. I've got like 3 or 4 shelves of all kinds of different blades. Now, the nice blade that I like. Do I have it on here? Well, let me see. Let's see here. Is it that? No, hold on. Where am I? That's, did I take that footage? Yeah. Is this it? No. Yeah, see? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, serviced. Nice. I also lubed the wheels a little bit. Let's flip it over. Whoa, zoom out. I checked the oil. It's dark. It's black. It needs to be changed, but it's full. I think I added a little bit before I used it. That just let it sit for a minute. Much better. Start it up. Yeah, here we go. Oh, the blade's in nice shape. I think it was Bleach asked me, what is it on the blade for? This is Bleach. Basically for mulching and picking up, raising the nap of the grass. Adds a bit more suction. Yeah, she's in nice shape. That's a blade. Just a little bit beat up over here from grinding sticks and rocks. In the garden, at like ground level. Let's just dress the top with my portable handy-dandy Milwaukee fuel, which I traded a Toro lawnmower for. It's going to give it a quickie. Yep. Ah, the sweet sound of grinding. Like music to my ears. Fast forward it. Yeah, she coming nice. I think I show it. Yeah, wait. That's it. Usually maybe one more time. Just a scotch. Just a scotch. You don't want it super sharp because I'm always grinding crap. Let me take a look. We'll do the other side. Off camera. Speaking of blades. It's good enough for a quick hand grind, right? Really nice shape. These are such heavy-duty blades. That's why I use this lawnmower for that. I just need to cut a section over there where I had all the crap out. Still got to move a couple of things, but...
There's that Craftsman.
I missed the whole area, so I'll just do that in a little bit.
Yeah, everything was out. I had like everything out this weekend. Well, the past week. Let's go see what Natalie's up to. Hold on. I'll catch up with you guys and we'll move along to the next segment. See what Natalie's up to. See, let me check it out. Recycled blades are now Gator blades. Me too, Archer. I have the C17. The actual recycled blade had no notches in a solid bit. Brett says the main blade on the HRX is massive. Wing on it for airlift. Yeah. I was showing him that. Like I changed my blades. I went to more of the HRR style. But I want to pick up a new high lift blade for the fall. Die. Oh, yeah, there's some kind of, I don't know if they're ants or termites, whatever, but by the door over in the garage, they came up out of the ground. Did I kill you? They're just totally massive, black, gross things. I got him. He's like almost dead. Oh, welcome, Brian. So let's just see what Natalie's up to. Hold on. Yeah, so Natalie says boobies are back. So I think we should listen to her and see what she says about that. So we already kind of covered Blade Tech Talk. We can come back to that, but I just wanted to kind of cover that a little bit. I think some of it is a bit subjective. You know, if it cuts decent and it's a pretty heavy blade, like this blade feels heavy. I do like the crimp in the middle, in this area here. It makes the blade very rigid, but it allows, I guess, for some flex on the edges. So I do like that design. I like the way it fits into the adapter. You know, I don't know. I mean, I think if you're happy with the cut, I mean, I get a lot of these mowers in that the blade is upside down, and people will complain about it. You know, I don't know, it cuts like crap. I don't know what's wrong with it. I just put a new blade on it. Surprises I'm late. Well, you're never late. We're never really late. Let's check out. Let's see what Natalie's up to. Let me cue that up. Stand by. Going live with Natalie.
Well, guess what? We can call ladies' boobs again. Now, when we're talking about boobs and breasts, you will know. You don't have to guess anymore that I mean ladies' boobs.
Yes.
Ladies' breasts.
Not guys' boobs.
Because they're back, guys.
Yeah.
Boobs mean boobs now. The era of gender neutral language is over. We've liberated the boobs, and I don't mean in a bra burning kind of way. The National Health Service in the UK is announcing a ban on gender neutral terms for the female body in all of their healthcare services in England. The major one here is chest feeding.
Whoa.
Hate this word. Can't tell you enough how much I hate this word.
I bet she
hate
does.
This word times 10 and then multiply that by infinity. That's how much I hate this word. Now we'll go back to calling it breastfeeding, which very much, I think, validates the boobs.
It validates
that I'm wearing
boobs
right now. Because I was not a chest feeder.
No,
by
certainly
wearing,
not.
I mean, owning them.
Yes.
Boob haver.
You're not wearing like some weird like contraption.
No, they are a part of me.
Yeah.
They are, to quote from Seinfeld, they are real.
And they're fabulous.
Now, again,
he said fabulous.
Could breastfeed my children, which I did, all three of them, because I have breasts and mammaries, and I was born with a woman. Feels so good to just say that because we weren't allowed to say this for the last decade. This major change comes after the Cass Review, a major study funded by the NHS, showed that gender-affirming care is based on quackery and hurting children. So they're stepping back from these things that they never had any reason to do than to please ideologists. And I really think we're going to look back on these last 10 years in the same way we do in the era of all sorts of horrific experimentation on vulnerable people, such as lobotomies. I want to show you something about that later.
Yeah.
So stay
She's going to get into lobotomies.
This change by the National Health Service in England, I think, is a major indicator of the crack in the dam. So why did we ever Forsake the boobs? Well, because people who want to deny gender reality were upset with words like breastfeeding because it made it clear that they were women and they didn't want to be women. So then we were supposed to say that men could breastfeed too. Even saying that makes me want to punch somebody. It makes me so
want to throw up.
That's ours. We have that. We don't share that with men. For instance, this person who said that pregnancy and labor made them feel really dysphoric. This is Logan Brown, a biological female who had a baby and called themselves a pregnant man. But Logan Brown was so sensitive about their body being called female that the very process of birth was upsetting to them. Here's a quote saying, when I was in labor and there was so much attention being paid to what was going on down there, it did get to the point where I burst out crying and said, I need a C-section. It was too overwhelming and dysphoric. Okay, you're a shit mother for saying that because a C-section is not good for the baby.
No, not good for you
all
either.
Sorts of reasons, women try to avoid it. And when you have to do it, you have to do it. But she didn't have to do it. She didn't want to do it because there was too much focus on her vagina, making her feel too much like a woman because she was in labor. So when you become a parent, it's not about you anymore. And one of the defining characteristics of having a baby is that you surrender your body and how it looks for the sake of the baby. You're not the most important thing here. So Logan Brown, you don't get to tell us moms that we can't claim boobs and birth as part of womanhood. They are our thing. We don't have to share it. The NHS also says that women can specifically request female-only providers, and they cannot be given a trans woman and told that that counts. It doesn't count. Last year, this woman, Teresa Steele, had a surgery canceled because she told the hospital she wanted a female staff only. And then they did just that. They sent her a trans person. And when she said, no, thank you, they chucked her out of the hospital and said, you're not being sensitive to our staff. You got to go. And they canceled her surgery. They did later apologize for this. Now, these are the kind of things that will not be allowed anymore for the NHS. So Teresa Steele can go in and say, I would like female-only providers, and she will get them, which means the NHS has to acknowledge who is a female and who is not. But here are some other things that I hope we see just crumbling with all of this. For instance, men who are not doctors that lecture about periods. Remember this dude in Scotland, hired by the government to be a period dignity spokesperson?
That's so messed up.
Even though he lacks the basic qualification
he doesn't have a vagina.
One. There was backlash, obviously, and this position was revoked. How about this? No more nonsense like this. A women's endometriosis charity appointed this trans person as a CEO. This is Steph Richards. Now, see this quote here? Let's leave this up for a second. In the yellow box with the little star, saying, "Isn't it ridiculous that I've got into my 40s before any medical professional even mentioned endometriosis?" So women found that exceedingly
because you don't have a vagina or a uterus.
Because no doctor would ever tell Steph Richards about the risk of endometriosis, given that they lack a uterus, so therefore cannot get endometriosis. And people who have had that are like, are you making fun of us? Because Steph is never going to get that talk. That's not appropriate for Steph Richards. And people went bonkers to the point that go ahead.
I was going to say, like all those times that my
Don't
general
interrupt
practitioner
her, you
tells me
idiot.
about menopause because I'm getting close to that age. And
Yeah, what's needed about my uterus?
Yeah. You should demand that from now
going to
on.
go through.
Yeah. This happens.
I still want my foreskin back. Where is it?
This made women
Nobody
so
told
mad
me.
that the
I didn't say it
Endometriosis
was
Society
okay.
had to put this apology. Like, sorry, it looked like Steph said that quote. Obviously, Steph would not say that quote. Steph is, though, a huge advocate for what people in the endo community go through. Even this apology is bullshit because look how they use the word people.
Yeah.
Steph is a huge advocate for what people... No, women get endometriosis.
With vaginas.
End
and
of
uteruses.
story. That's for women. It goes on the uterus.
With vaginas and
if you're
uteruses.
unlucky. It's not something you would ever wish on your worst enemy. Well, now we can all agree that Steph is not the person to best represent a uterus problem, nor is Steph an OB. When someone on Twitter was upset about this, here was what Steph Richards said in response.
The person's not even a doctor
I
or
was
medical
researching
professional.
issues around pregnancy and women's health over 2 decades ago. Sex didn't come into it. Okay. I don't know if she read those papers, but okay. And when you zoom into those images, you see that those are not papers written by Steph Richards. Those are academic papers that Steph Richards printed out with the dateline 2006 as proof that they've been reading them. Okay, that doesn't make one an expert. All of these are examples of the gender madness in this gender ideology era. And I think we're going to call it that, the gender ideology, maybe decade and a half, the era, because this is proof that it's starting to end. Now, I want to show you something to maybe collectively think about how history will remember this time, because we have had periods of history before where we did things to vulnerable people in the name of mental health that had no science behind it, and it was really hurting them. This is from the WPATH files. You may recall these were leaked communications from the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. WPATH is not a medical society. They are, what would we call them? They're a body of experts that dictate how they want trans people to be treated. In these leaked files, we see time after time that doctors are acknowledging that they're winging it with what they call gender affirming care and hurting people in the meantime. Now, the Center for Environmental Progress, which published the WPATH files, which is an interesting read if you want to take a few hours and go through it, they say that the gender affirming care and all the surgeries that we've done and all the ways we've taken away rights from women, it will go down in history like these 2 scandals. First off, lobotomies. Do you know what a lobotomy is? It's the surgical removal of healthy brains. And that was pseudoscientific. And it happened in the mid 20th century. And there was a widely held belief at the time that it was the most effective and humane treatment for mental illness, with a brutal surgical procedure that involved blindly swinging sharp instruments in the brain to sever the frontal lobe connections. Now, lobotomies were invented by a man named Antonio Igas Moniz, and he won a Nobel Prize for it in 1948. Doesn't this blow your mind to go back over it now? It's wild. The doctors who brought them to America were named Walter Freeman and James Watts. Now, Freeman invented the transorbital lobotomy, which involved hammering a surgical instrument resembling an ice pick through the eye socket of the brain. He would say that his procedure was a success if the patients could leave the asylum and be cared for at home at the level of a domestic invalid or household pet. He also became convinced that the earlier the procedure was performed, the better, because of the misguided belief that patients were destined to deteriorate otherwise, which meant he was advocating for surgery for the first line of treatment for those with even mild mental illnesses. Now, maybe you know this. Clayton, do you know this about Rosemary Kennedy?
What about?
That she was the victim of a lobotomy?
Oh, yeah.
You guys already know this.
Yeah.
What do you know about it? Do you want to?
Yeah.
I mean, that she was. I mean, it was part of the family's secret, and it was like kept basically in a vegetative state.
Yes.
In like it was like it's
like
almost
a
like a
pet
royal
dog.
family secret, keeping like one of the we don't want to talk about Rosemary. She's up in the wing up there.
Yeah.
And she was otherwise like vibrant and full alacrity and everything before they did it. It was for a trivial matter, and left her basically like ended her life well before she died.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that she was otherwise fine, because you can see here that he would advocate it for even those with mild mental illness, which is a problematic term in and of itself. So like, oh, you're starting to go downhill a little bit. Let's just hammer at your brain a little bit. But look what it says here, that some end up permanently disabled and approximately 15% died. So you would think that maybe it would be like, okay, maybe we should not do experimental things on people anymore that hurts them or disfigures them without research. This was actually predicated by a procedure in the 19th century called ovariotomy. How would you say that? Ovariotomy. Ovariotomy. Let's say it that way. Do you know what this is, Philip? Besides reading the screen?
The removal of an ovary.
Okay, yes. Yeah. It was where they would attempt to cure mental illness with gynecological surgery, where they, basically removed the ovaries for a variety of mental illnesses in women, ranging from menstrual madness, nymphomania, masturbation, and all cases of insanity. This practice, known as the way Philip just pronounced it, enjoyed the support of many of the leading gynecologists and psychologists of the era, psychiatrists, and it is estimated that over 100,000 women had their healthy ovaries removed between 1872 and 1900.
Wow.
This being a long time before the invention of antibiotics and adequate surgical cleanliness procedures, approximately 30% of women died as a result of this medically unnecessary operation. So now flash forward and think about breast removal, penis removal, testicle removal, the construction of a neo-vagina, stripping down people's forearms in order to construct a phallus that does not work and has a high rate of infection, shoulder shaving, all manner of facial reconstruction. Now, that's not to say, right, that there's not research on plastic surgery, but some of the things I'm talking about here have horrific endings for people who are given this as a solution to pre-existing conditions. Most of them have autism. So again, this is what the WPATH files and myself agree, how we are looking at this through the lens of past mistakes. Here's what they say. 70 years later, we find ourselves with the moral high ground, without the moral high ground. In the age of evidence-based medicine, we once again find ourselves witness to a medical world performing surgical mutilations on healthy bodies in the quest to cure mental illness. But instead of targeting the brain, today's surgeons are targeting the genitals. So, is that how we want to be remembered? Because that's, I think, exactly like what we're going through now will be in a textbook about this, unless we learn, unless something comes next, right? Unless we start doing this again. What do you think will be next if we do learn the lesson here? Will people want to become part cyborg? That's probably it, right? That's the next thing.
Well, yeah, we're going to have
yourself part cyborg
implanted with something like what's the thing that the
Elon Musk's chip, the Neuralink.
Neuralink, yeah.
Yeah. But until then, while we're righting wrongs, right now I have a list of other words I do not want to see used around me or in the OB office. Ovary havers, uterus owners, be-penised women. Nope. Oh. Women don't have penises. Human milk feeders. I hate that one a lot. Oh, God. And my very least favorite is pregnant people. So let's take all of those, trash those words while we're at it. Let me know what you think. Is this going to go down as a scandal of our decade or not?
It's kind of hard when you got COVID mixed in there. You got COVID and biopharmaceutical complex pushing COVID jabs at the same time. This is all happening. So they're competing right now for each other. Go ahead, Philip.
I feel like there was a bit of a bait and switch with this story, though, because I was led to believe we would be talking about boobies, and I was left with a mental image of ice picks and eyeballs.
I was promised boobs, and I got ice picks to the eyes.
Talk about a mood killer.
Yeah.
That girl's into some stuff.
That's for sure. Well, that was pretty crazy, I would say. I just thought they'd share that with everybody. Would you guys like to be de-penised? Or to be B-penis means you get one, I think. And to be D-penis means you're going to have it removed. Okay. Well, that's a topic for another day. I just want to move along from that right now. Let's see. Let me catch up to you guys. Let me see. She said crack. Yeah. P-Lady is hotter. Yeah, we're going to go to the P-Lady in a minute. I got to take a quick pee break. I hope they unwind it all and not just parts of it. Looks like Boy George. Let's see. Johnny Rose says, no dude has legs like that. Yeah. Brett says, and unless equipped as such, women do not stand up to pee. Yeah. Well, unless they're equipped. Bleach says, I'm going to get a rainbow Trump flag for the garage because nothing makes sense anymore. Yeah, that would be cool. Bravo says, you never see a stream, just the sound. Yeah, yes, they are an activist group. Well, a lot of these NGOs are. Like, it's really their primary thing is what they do. And they a good place to funnel money into and then use it the way they want to use it. And that's how it works. Crazy world. Crazy world. Let me see what did I want to do next. There was something else. I'm not totally prepared because, I enjoy doing life during the day and I've been so busy. So I think we'll go to a pee break, but I think I covered at least the first part of the show. Let me see. Yeah, we did Natalie, Blade Tech Talk, and Machine Block Update. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys a couple of things. I think when we come back, I want to show you the camera. I think that's the first thing. Just real quick. And if Mate is still here, if not, I'll point him to after the P Lady sings. Let's go to the P Lady real quick. All right, I'm coming. Hold on. Shove aside, Pete Lady. Well, she stands up. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Remember, you got to aim. Let's see. Can I hear her? Oh, yeah, she's peeing a little bit. I think so. Let me mute the desktop audio. Because then it's too much echo. You got to remember to do that. Yeah, she does have nice, wait, we going to get, yeah, she's scratching her butt. Hold on. I think we get a quick little peek. Right? That's not guys, yeah. That is not, yeah. Smile came out. That is not guys' legs. I mean, it could be. I mean, could be. It's possible. Let's just go and take a quick look at, I want to show you the two cameras. Let me just find product page real quick. Because I don't have one up. Because I'm not ready. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just do... Let's see. Yes. Is this it? Yeah, this is their product page. Let's see. I'll just kind of... I don't want to block all the cookies, but... Here we go. Now, for those that are interested. And so why I say, now, if you notice, it looks a little bit like the camera I showed you and I was talking about and showed recently. And this is their suggested retail price. Basically, this is their $600 new if you buy it from Sony, but you can get it elsewhere as well. And this one here is the ZV-10. So this is a little bit more money. And let me get the... While you're just kind of looking at it, let me get the other variant. Yeah, here we go. Just so I get the right model and part number. I want the... Is it this one? Why am I not seeing it? Is it the EV... Is it E? Yeah, the E one? Yeah. Let me just look at this one real quick. Yeah, this is like an Amazon page, I think, but there's a couple of different models. There's a there's a cheaper model where let me close this out. The lens does not come off. And I may be mispronouncing the ZV-1 digital black. Yeah, I think this is it here. All right, so this one here. So let me look at the one first. We'll talk a little just quickly. So 24 megapixel camera. Remember, these are APS-C. So, but this one has a interchangeable lens, which is nice. So this doesn't come with a lens. The one that I keep thinking about comes with the lens attached, and I'll show you that one in a minute. And there's a few other little variations to it. What's nice about this, obviously, is you can buy different lenses so you can expand your capabilities. You've seen the one that I often use. The one I'm using right now has got a zoom lens on it, which is nice because it's optical zoom, and it gives you the ability to reach out without going into something like a digital zoom, which is not as nice. Fold-out screen. It's pretty compact. It is definitely geared for the sort of YouTube vlogger shooter. Some of the features that you'll see is you get the twistable screen, sets up a lot like my camera, folds back out of the way. It has a microphone port on it. Okay, so here's your microphone and headphone. So you got microphone and headphone, which is very useful for live streams or just any number of things. You could, obviously, a microphone is important because, the onboard mic, I use it from time to time. It is very convenient. But if you want better audio, or if you want wireless audio or something like that, or a shotgun mic, you literally have anything that you can plug right in there. And again, everything is set up where it's favoring the video shooter rather than a picture shooter. So it is more geared for a YouTuber. It also has an HDMI output on it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually using the HDMI output on the cameras. And I'll show you in a minute. You can use it to record from the camera directly to a hard drive and or to your computer, laptop, whatever. You can use it for something like a live stream. In that regard, as well, like just any kind of camera that you would have, like for Zoom meetings or things like that. A lot of people were looking for that during the lockdowns, what have you, because they were starting to work from home. They needed a camera that could do that. This camera came out, I think, a little bit after that, though. But they were looking for cameras that had an HDMI output. There is no record time limit. A lot of these cameras, especially photography cameras, they have a 29.7-minute record limit, which just sucks. You want to be able to record as long as the battery will hold out and as large as your capture card, your hard drive that you shove in there. Maybe how big your little card is. So that's kind of neat. Those are features that you don't see on a lot of cameras, and they're not set up properly, especially for somebody doing YouTube, wanting to record, be able to put a different microphone on, use it as a webcam. There's just a lot of things they can do, and the menu system and the buttons and everything are all set up more geared for the video shooter and the vlogger, and it's very, very lightweight.
Oh, and we're going to feature the Sony ZV-E10 because it's a pretty cool camera.
Just scroll through this real quick.
It's all right. Let class begin. I use an app called Notion to help me night before I decide to shoot anything. Like if you're filming a lot, like if you're filming in 4K, that's going to drain a lot of the battery from your camera. And so just make sure to bring extra batteries
4K.
and charge them the night before. You also want to make sure that your media card is formatted before you shoot. You want to have as much space as possible to film as much as possible. There were a couple of times where I've gone out and
that's a good
and
tip.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like 2 gigs left on this SD card. Like what the heck? And that's because I forgot to offload the project. We'll talk about my specific vlog setup with the ZV-E10 later in the video, but in the spirit of preparation, to cool down, talking to the camera, obviously I want to go to video mode, and so I just push the mode button until I'm in video mode. And if I want to film B-roll content, which is usually in slow motion, then I just push the mode button again and go to S&Q.
Now he's got
for slow
a
motion
big
content. It depends on what I'm filming.
Yeah, S&Q. The S&Q feature is nice. The S&Q. Yeah, let me just X this out. Oh, this is nice too. The S&Q allows you to do slow motion right in the camera. There's a number of features in there like that. It's kind of neat. You can have it even set it to, like my camera, I can set it to record 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames every minute. So you can almost do like create like a stop motion. It's very useful if you just want to let the camera run and you're working on something for a period of time. You're not looking for audio. You're not looking for anything other than to just capture a lot of time in a very elapsed time in a very short period of time, viewable time. Another thing I like about this too is it allows for 120p at 100 megabit. It's a megabit transfer rate. Those are very high transfer rates. So it shows here it's like a 60p, 60 frames, 30 frames at the 50, and 30p at 16. But it does have 120 at 60 and 120 at 100. Those are they'll make kind of large files. That's some real high quality footage right there. So if you want, you can go up or down in this. It's a little, without getting too technical, you can choose from, let's say, a lower quality footage that is not going to take up a lot of space on your hard drives. It's not going to be hard to edit. And then if you want to show something in a lot of quality, it has settings for that. So those are things that most people may not be used to, because whether it's a phone or a lot of cameras, a GoPro, you really can't adjust anything like that. And of course, that's a little bit more technical. I'm not sure what the hell else he's talking about, but when it comes to editing, etc., I think it's one of the things that are very useful. Let's look at this. This one, it's got the Zeiss glass on it. So this is, the lens does not come off, but it's basically the same thing. It's actually cheaper because it comes with this lens, this Zeiss lens, which does not come off. So it does have zoom capability, both digital and focal length, glass zoom, which is actually quite nice. Now, this is not the product page. I just picked this up real fast from the web, but you'd have to go to the actual product page of Sony to get a little bit more on it. This is like what you would find in the kit, 64 gigabit little card for it, which is not bad to get you started. There's a lot of different kinds of deals out there. So here's what we'll just go through the shots real quick. Basically the same thing. And it's, from what people say about it, they like the glass that's in it. They like the zoom capability. It's got a 1.8 to 2.8. Now, that's the f-stop. It's Zeiss glass. 1.8 at the lowest f-stop would be considered to be a pretty decent lens. I think what mine is yeah, see, mine is a 3.5 to 5.6. That is kit lens territory. That's sort of jargon for crap. This is actually a nice lens, and an f-stop of 1.8 will allow a lot of light in through the lens. So if it's kind of dark, like it is in here, where I usually shoot from at night, doing live streams and stuff, GoPros can't handle it. My cameras can, because they have more modern sensors and what have you. But my glass is removable. Remember, my glass, I can put different lenses on. I can buy a piece of glass with ratings like this if you want to spend the money. They're a little bit more money than the lenses that are on my cameras, but at 1.8, that is really good. It's going to let a lot of light in, and typically the glass, the lens would have to be made much better to get a value like that. So it already comes with it. That's it zoomed out a little bit. And 2.8 is the number at when it's zoomed out all the way, or I should say zoomed in. Okay, when you're zooming in, and that's optical zoom. We're not talking about digital. Big red, shutter or record button. Mic is at the top. Very small. These things are very small. They fit on really lightweight stands and what have you. Now, this one just has a mic input. You got the mic input, the USB, all right, so you can offload it or charge it from USB, and the HDMI connector, but there's no headphone connector. The other one is what they kind of consider to be, that's it with it sort of zoomed. The other one is kind of considered to be their full frame, one of their full frame cameras. And I'll just chat a little bit about that in a minute. Just let you kind of look over it. It's very, very light. And again, more associated for video. And it is a camera, which is, they're talking about their sensor technology. Let me come back. So again, without getting too technical, let me minimize this. Nice stuff. It's a little pricey, but it's nowhere near the cost of a really nice cell phone. And again, the cell phone you're going to have as a cell phone, that's a nice option. I don't know if I didn't look to see which one of these bodies is sealed. Like this camera here is not a sealed body, and by the way, this is the HDMI, and so you can see. I'll shut it off, turn it back on. And this one kind of does this. And let's see if it comes on. Oh, the battery's dead. Okay. Yeah, so that's why. So there's the HDMI connector. Now, the camera I showed you has a little bit better battery than this. So here's HDMI, which is going into my ATEM. And I put a battery extender on mine. So here's the 2 battery packs. Right, they slide right in there. And probably one of these batteries is okay. But if you take this crap off the top, you can put an extra microphone on. And then it is basically like this. It's about this size. Of course, I have a bigger lens on it. And my bigger lens is on that. And then the lens comes off. And they're very, very lightweight. And the nice thing about these is like I put them on microphone stands and stuff. I mean, they're not that stand I made. It's just nice to be able to grab it. I like the extra battery pack. One, because this model of batteries are not that good. I have other adapters for big batteries. And of course, I also use 120 volt transformer, power pack adapters where I wire them in. That one's wired in to mains. So I don't have to worry about a battery. But I kind of like this, and it sits nice on the table. It sits nice and flat. It's rubberized. It doesn't move. It doesn't skid. And then there's no shoe on this. I showed you I think it was 2 weeks ago, whatever, that there's a cage that I have for this one. That one has a cage on it as well. But when I don't have the cage on, I just have the shoe, and I just mount the shoe on. Hold on. The shoe. So I use these types of shoes. It's like a bayonet style mount. I always forget the name of it. It is a particular name for it. But I'll just kind of screw this on real quick. It's a little thumb screw with a little twisty thing on it. And the shoe's on there. Now I can just put it on my stands. And I use, decent K&F concept stand, You hold it up. I mean, the stands are okay, but that camera with all the outfitting and the gearing and everything, you're looking at a lot of money. Like you don't want a really cheap stand because you don't want to drop it. So something like this, you could set that camera up a bunch of different ways. The battery is a little bit better than this one, but they are small batteries, and you could see how small these batteries are. Now, on the bigger cameras and some of the newer cameras, and also the newer version of these cameras, they're a little bit bigger, the grip is bigger, and they use the full frame style battery. Similar to this. These are Sony batteries too, big difference. And of course, this is like my mid-size battery. And some of these things, like the full frame battery, you could probably shoot for 5 hours straight. Just leave the camera on. 5-6 hours. Some people have said they've even, depending upon what frame rate they're running, and if they're running 4K or not, or 1080p, or shooting full time, you could just leave the camera on and shoot for as long as you want. And then if you really feel uncomfortable, grab another battery and pop it in. This is where we're going with the technology. It's got some stabilization on it. I mean, nothing's going to be as good as a GoPro or like the latest iPhone. But you're going to get a better signal. You're going to be able to go live with it. You're going to be able to connect it to a different monitor, to a hard drive, to do all kinds of things, connect it to your computer.
There's so many things you can do with it. You really kind of struggle a little bit more with trying to use like a cell phone. Cell phone is good. It's another tool in the toolkit. This is very versatile. So if you want to get away from, like if you like some of the features of the GoPro, but you're looking for something that's not going to stop working or stop recording, I've never had that problem with these. I've never turned on a recording and had it stop for any other reason than the battery exhausted. Like right now, it just said the battery was exhausted. That's the only reason. And, you know, you have the battery indicator so you could read it and see, but I left it on sitting over here. It's not plugged in. So when I was showing you the blade, I just left it on. I wasn't thinking about it. And these batteries are getting old. So they're a few years old now. So I need to replace them. Yeah, the prices range $500, $600, $700. It depends. You got to go look for it. Brett says, no Charlie tonight. I'm outside. Aw, what microphone do you use, Arch? TGM says. Well, mostly I use this one. This is a Rode mic, and it's got a battery inside. What's kind of neat about it is you can adjust the output. So it's a shotgun style mic. And most of what you hear is either, well, usually you hear this mic, the built-in mic. And a lot of times you can't tell from this mic. This mic it has a noise filter on it, which is on right now. It helps. It cuts down certain noises. You'll still hear them, but it's lower. It has a gain control on it, so I can adjust the gain of the mic to the camera. And that's kind of nice because a lot of times I don't use this mic and I want to be able to have the gain the same so that if I don't use this mic, I don't have to fool with the camera. So once you set it, there's a little switch on the back and generally it's either a negative or neutral. It does have a positive gain. I almost never need to use that. That would be for if you were really far away and you really needed to hear a person. What I like about this mic is that I can be quite far away from the camera and I don't have to wear anything. And I also like a bit of the natural sound. I don't mind some noises coming in. To me, it feels better. I like the feel of it. When it's too studio-esque and you're standing in a shop or outside and you have all this filtering on and you're wearing a lapel mic or whatever right here that's wireless, it sounds weird. It feels weird. The person's outside in a big spot and it sounds like they're in a studio. I don't really care for that. That's why I use this mic. This is a very versatile mic. But when I unplug it, I want the camera to have about the same volume. It'll have a little different quality, but the volume will be the same. And so when I go to edit, I know I'm not too low, I'm not too high. If I want to pick it up a little bit, this camera sounds a little bit better. You probably can't hear it, but you can definitely tell, but you're not hearing it right now the way you would hear it if I was closer to it when I'm recording. Usually I use this microphone that's in the camera when I'm standing in front of it or behind it. A lot of the outdoor shots and the B-roll and stuff. Because I like the way it sounds and it's easy and I can walk around it because it's omnidirectional. Now we're on this. Okay. So, and I can boost it up in edit, in post. I can boost that mic up a little bit and make them sound similar. Same thing with this guy. And they sound okay. It's not terrible. I mean, in post, you can work a little bit of magic. You don't have to. Sometimes I don't. As long as it's clear and it's loud enough. It doesn't have to be mint. One thing I got to say, though, I don't know about that camera, but if you notice that there was one shot where it had what we call the dead cat, that fuzzy thing on top. There's a microphone on the ZV that's right on the top. I don't know where the microphone is on this because I think it might be here. I'm not sure because you could buy these little cheesy aftermarket sort of dead cats that kind of stick on. You can leave them on full time. And when I'm outside, it would be nice if I just want to use this camera, if I had a little wind sock, a little wind, something to disrupt the wind, because sometimes it gets in the way. Of course, microphones range in price from almost nothing to, your firstborn. Let's see. Looks like it has USB-C plug. Yes, yeah. Some of them do. Most of them are this style USB.
So USB standard on this side, plug into your computer or charger, and most of them have this style. So it's kind of like USB-C. I think that they're slowly migrating. Cameras are a little bit different. It's not like, your iPhone. This is more like what plugs into here, okay, into the Samsung style, right? This plugs right in. It plugs into my camera. It plugs into here. So most of them are still using this. It's a camera type mini USB. You'd have to look at the spec. I forget what they call it. But I suspect that in the future, a lot of this stuff is going to be going to the USB-C style, like on our iPhones, because of the specs are changing and they're getting faster and it's just becoming easier. Like that, the box that's over here, the Black Magic, where I control the audio and the video and feeds and all that. That's it's got 2 ports. One of them is a USB-C and the other one is Ethernet. So I can connect to it either through my local area network or I can connect to it directly through USB-C. And of course, you're controlling it, right? You see this most of the time. Sometimes you'll see it. So this is one of the camera controls. It could do, fades and whatever, and all kinds of different stuff. And there's different things that I can do with this. Here's your audio. So you can work the audio. And if you actually have the Blackmagic cameras, you can actually completely control the cameras from this console, which, a lot of people use it for that reason. That's expensive, right? I like to talk about the cheaper stuff. Now, you could go full frame camera, which is bigger and heavier. Now, the Sony's ZV-10 is kind of the APC version of their new sort of full frame camera design. I mentioned that. So full frame is kind of an archaic word in some ways. Sony came out with a full frame design a little while back that's much smaller than, let's say, the Canon and what have you. Notice that this camera feels much bigger right now, right? Well, a full frame like a Canon, whatever, back in the day, it was a big camera. They were big. They were a little bit bigger than this whole thing with the battery pack. And they had the bigger size lenses. They have the bigger sensors. It just, photographers were used to using these cameras in this way, taking these shots. And when they started to kind of go into like video and stuff like that, migrating to new applications, they kept the full frame in the full size format for the longest time, because remember back in the day, full frame, you had to drop in 35 millimeter film, which is, big. And you had to have a receiver for it. So you wound it into from one canister to another, one drum to another. So you had to have that. So that big full frame sort of 35 millimeter feel, everybody was used to it. And little by little, they said, you know what? We could make it smaller. They came out with the little point and shoots. I have a couple of them. They're decent. Took nice pictures. And then they started to migrate into these APC styles because of the video environment growing. And of course, now they've really gotten very good. But it is bigger than, let's say, like a GoPro or something equivalent. Those are nice. I'm trying to get my hands on one. So I'll see what happens. I think I mentioned to you guys that a friend of mine wants to sell one. And I think it might be the 9, but I'm not really sure. They're often stop and freak out and screw you up, but they have uses that can't really be matched by too many other cameras. Problematic, but like the cell phones and like all these different tools, it's like different tools in your toolkit. If you really like to, have fun with video and maybe you're looking for something a little bit different, a little bit more reliable, you don't get rid of one for another. You add a tool. I never throw out my tools. It's like pretty rare. Like for me to throw, I might sell one because I need the money or whatever. But I don't know how many of us throw out. I know I don't need this tool anymore. Just throw it out. Throw it out. I don't need this thing. Like this shit lighter. Throw it out. No. So, and of course, as you get into a little bit more, you start to see where the benefits come. I was watching a video the other night. I was half asleep. They shot a couple of movies with the iPhone. In fact, the one at the what's his name? Oh my God, I can't think of the name. You know, with the F-14, the movie that came out with whatever this fuck his name is. Help me out, fellas. I can't remember the name of it. They shot some sequences with that with an iPhone. And there was a bunch of movies that they shot with an iPhone. But when you say they didn't shoot the whole thing with an iPhone, and when you say shot with an iPhone, well, if you see how they had the iPhone fully customized and rigged out, along with everything else and all of the crew and the hardware that iPhone was connected into, it wasn't somebody going, "Oh yeah, let's catch this shot." No. This thing, the iPhone, was buried into so much expensive technology. They had an expensive frame battery system with power wrapped all the way around it. They had additional lenses. They were pulling focus. You know what pulling focus is? They hire a guy to sit there with a dial, and he talks to everybody else and the director, and they manually focus the iPhone for every shot. There was no autofocus. Once in a while, they would use autofocus, but the guy that pulls focus would have to switch it. And they had custom controls that were into the firmware of the iPhone. They didn't just shoot it with an iPhone. I mean, you've got Red cameras on set where each one of them you're talking about a couple of few $1 million in camera stuff just laying around as support. They'd shoot it with the iPhone. You know, people get to thinking, oh, like the one in my pocket? No, it looked like a cyborg iPhone. Watch some of that shit. It's pretty cool how they pull this stuff off. Again, you know, nothing's cheap. Nothing's free. But stuff that's a little bit more geared for somebody that wants to do YouTube, you're going to find these things to be very versatile, which is the real thing. It's not about micro four thirds versus full frame versus APC and the quality and all of that. Even in that little footage I was watching, I think it was Potato Jet. He's a guy that does cameras. He's a younger fella out in California. There's a lot of camera views, so he was on set because a lot of these people are in the film industry. And they were all telling him, going back from to like the 1800s, it's not the camera. It's the person behind it. It's what you use it for. You know, often I say, right, for these crappy phones, I like to use, there's some footage that you'll see, you've even seen recently with this thing. I often say, don't use the tool beyond its capabilities. You know, just if you know what it can't do, don't do it. If you understand whether it's an iPhone or a camera or whatever, the real way to know is to know first what it can and can't do, whatever it is. And you'll get good shots if you can understand those rules. If you know the thing can't do it, don't try it. And one of the ways you know is you watch your own footage back. And if it looks like crap and it's shaking all over the place, or it's too dark, or it's too bright, or it's too whatever, or you're in too close, or you're too far away, or, you know, there's all kinds of things. It can't do it, so don't do it. Yeah, he goes, yeah. So, Brother says, yeah, the more glass, the more lens distortion. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, exactly, when you get into expensive lenses. So this is a 135 millimeter lens on here. And you guys see it a lot. I'm barely able to grab it. It's very smooth, though. And I gave this camera to, you'll see Liz took a whole bunch of footage when working on her car. And she goes, does this thing zoom? I said, yeah. So she grabs the zoom ring and she's like, it's kind of jerky. I said, yeah. I said, this is the crappier. When I said kit lens, we say kit lens because the lenses usually that come with the camera, you know, when you buy it, usually cameras don't come with lenses, but you can buy a kit, right? So I bought a kit. And the kit lenses, this is what I say, this was 2.8 to that Zeiss piece of glass that was 1.8 or something. Yeah, something like that. I can't read it. Big difference, okay? Zeiss makes nice stuff. So that one was outfitted, the one that I showed you was outfitted with some nice shit. Is it upside down? Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, I forget. I always forget. I mean, big difference in quality. Big difference in quality. And of course, you can get vignetting and things like that. You'll see distortions usually on the outsides of the lens if you zoomed in. Remember, we're not shooting birds and hot babes. Okay, we're shooting cars and car parts and lawnmowers and whatever. There's a lot of wiggle room there. Okay, we're shooting our ugly mugs. Right, our face is already. My face is always distorted. That's how I was born. You can't help it. We're shooting. You know, what are we doing? Right. However, there's some level of where maybe this is not acceptable, and maybe that is a little bit more friendlier to us. I did some setting up a shot with Liz in here, and the lighting wasn't great because I've been complaining about that. Right, and I don't want to just throw money at it. And what you saw of her face was very unkind. And we were looking at it on this 27-inch monitor, right? My confidence monitor. And she looked over at it. She went, ooh. I said, I know. I said, that's very unforgiving, isn't it? It's very unkind. She goes, yeah. I said, let me see if I can sweeten that up. So I made a few little changes. Yeah, big difference. Okay. And she has, every now and then, she has these complexion issues. Not to give away her secrets, but, you know, we all do. But she has this, I think maybe it's part of her lupus or whatever. Occasionally she'll kind of get pocky. It's like more like raw for, I don't know. I don't want to over describe it. She'll probably get mad. But it clears up and it's not really that bad. And it's not. However, the camera, if you get the contrast, a lot of these kinds of cameras, the camera stuff in here or in a lot of the cheaper cameras, they do this weird contrasting thing. They have this weird feature that they add in and everything gets kind of weird. It's over sharpening and it uses a digital it's not like film. It uses this digital enhancement where it over sharpens. And what you'll often see in people's faces is fucking craters. Like if you get in too tight, you put the camera too close and try to zoom in, what you see is their pores, but they look like craters, like the moon. It's horrible. You'll see weird stuff like that. And depending upon what you're doing with the camera and the lighting and the kind of camera, whatever, you can tell, and it doesn't look good. Another thing that I see a lot is that with this cheaper stuff, with the GoPros, everything just becomes like white, black and white. Everything looks very black and white to me. I noticed in the background, if you're using a lot of white lights, everything in the background is a blurry white and dark mush. There's no definition to anything. You know, and then you see something with a better camera, and you can tell. It pops better. It looks more pleasing. Remember, we're going in, this is 2024, we're going into 2025. If you're using 10-year-old or 5-year-old or 6-year-old technology or something, there is a difference. And that's one of the reasons why YouTube is getting difficult. Because we don't realize it, but we're watching this stuff. And you can see the difference, and you might say, well, it's just a lawnmower show or a car show, whatever. What's the difference? No, you're kind of looking at it and you're going, it's awfully dingy and dark, and it looks all mushy and muffled, and it's glaring and blaring over here, and it's washed out over there. And you're not actually saying that, but your brain is getting it. It becomes unpleasing because of the contrast, because you'll go from one YouTube video to another one where there's a very big difference in the camera technology. One guy is shaking like a leaf and it looks like crap, and you go to the next guy and it's somewhat tolerable, but as you go forward, I think it's a thing that's settling in our brain. And I think if you can please the viewer a little bit more and give them something somewhat pleasing to look at, where it's not out of focus or it's not weird looking or whatever, and it looks consistent across the YouTube environment, it doesn't have to be great. You could do a little bit more with it. And you don't necessarily need a lot of money. Like this thing here is good for certain close-ups and stuff, but I can't really handhold it because it doesn't have any image stabilization. And if I get in close, well, then you see a lot of shaking. And I see people, they'll zoom in either optically or they'll zoom in digitally, and they're holding the camera. And if you do that, your shaking is even more magnified. And if it's not shaking, what'll happen is if the particular camera has a lot of image stabilization, the processor is working its ass off and it's mushing the hell out of the image to try to keep it straight. It's going to distort the image because that's not normal. You know, to be digitally zoomed in, it has to process the crap out of the image, so it doesn't look that good. And you can't really see what the person's talking about. So, but like I mentioned, though, Liz did a very good job. She wanted to do more. She did more actual optical zoom, which I almost never do. I very rarely do optical zoom or digital zoom. I do it in post. I do it in edit. And I have a much better success rate of doing it with that camera because it records at a much higher bit rate. It's basically like 4K, but that's not the right terminology. People say, does it record in 4K? That's not really the right terminology. You should talk about bit rate and things like that nature, but people don't speak that way. If you say 4K, it's not the size of the monitor that you're concerned about. It's how much information is being drawn in by the sensor and recorded to the card. And if you're doing it at 100 megabit transfer units per second, you're packing a tremendous amount of information. And the difference would be is that if I stand here and I'm taking a picture of that, I'm back here and I'm videoing that thing on the screen, I can, with this cheaper camera and the cheaper lens, without touching any zoom, in edit, I can punch in about 1.3 times the distance. So almost as if I moved it in that much more. That camera, I can go something like 220%. So I can average, more than twice the distance. More than twice, sometimes even higher. This, I am lucky if I get a third of the distance, closing the gap, making it seem closer. Because it distorts the image. It goes out of focus. It distorts it. It gets mushy. So I can get like 1.34 times. That one I can get about 2.7 times on average. And that's not a great camera or a great lens. It's the same family. So there's stuff like that without moving the camera. So if I forgot to zoom in, let's say I just forgot, or let's say I recorded a whole sequence and I said, I'd like to zoom in a little bit more. That'd be nice. Can I zoom in? On that camera, I can go way further in edit. On this camera, I'm like, I get it a little bit, maybe a little bit of help. That's as far as I can go. Now it looks like shit. Hey, Mitch. Hello from Illinois in the house. Yes, Tom Cruise. Thanks, man. Tom Cruise. I want to check out. I'm going to show you guys some other machines because, really mostly I like to talk about machines and stuff. But I like Mater's show is like about all kinds of different things. Check out Mater's in the address. His address and everything is in the description, right? Didn't I put it in? I did, yeah. Did I put it in here? Hold on. I'll copy it. I want to take a sip, but I'm trying to hold the mouse. There we go. Yeah, Mater's in his live show, but check out his channel in general. They talk about all kinds of different stuff. I like to stop in. Now, Renegade uses the version with the where the lens is fixed to the camera, and it does good, and it's just convenient and easy and light. And I think every now and then he'll blow the shot, but that's just because of us. That's not because of the camera. We either get too close. I do it. We get too close or whatever. He says one of the mistakes he makes. Now, on this camera, this is the first in the series, so the back viewer, right, only goes like that for the most part. So you kind of have to be behind the camera. That one's on the trapeze that comes up over the top of the camera, and I can see what it's doing. So I can stand in front of it. The ZVs flop to the side. Now, you may or may not like that, but it flops to the side. And what Renegade does is instead of looking in the camera when he's doing a product review, which he knows he's supposed to be doing, his eyes are actually looking at the side, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. It does, because he's got a portrait set up, sort of like this, right? Like this scenario where I'm in the middle. And imagine if I was always talking over here and I never changed my viewpoint and I'm going on and on about a tool for 20 minutes and all you see is me talking over this way. It's very disconcerting. Like, human beings notice shit like that. You're supposed to look into the camera. He is, kind of. He's looking at himself. He knows this is a problem, but he's stuck. He's looking at himself And then he might look away, and then he looks back, and you're supposed to look directly into the lens. You don't have to do it all the time, but you're supposed to look into the lens. And you're not supposed to be too close either. This is another mistake they teach you in photography and everything. There's a distance, not just because you're pretty or not pretty, but there's a personal distance. So this lens has a different focal length. I usually use this lens, shorter. So what's the correct distance? So it depends upon what you're doing. So this distance right here is about correct. My framing is about right. I have a decent amount of headroom at the top, but not too much. That's very important. The camera is a little bit higher than me, but it should be very close to my eye line. It should be down a little bit lower, but I have this monitor, which is very tall. And it's down, and that stand is down as low as it can go. So it should be a little bit lower. Why? Because we should be equals to one another. If the camera is much higher, it's looking down. It makes the person that's being seen feel demure, and the person watching, right, feel they see you as being over you. So if I'm like this, I'm very demure, and I'm not going to be as convincing, and it looks too laid back. It just feels weird. If the camera is below, right, it's this towering thing where you're like on top of somebody, leaning over them and breathing on them. And if you're too close, there's a distance to where if you're really close, you're in a person's personal space. We all know of people that we may have worked with or friends that come over and they're touching you and they get real close to you and like you can feel their nose hair poking you in your eye, right? And in your face. That's too close, right? It's like, no, bro, I'm not sleeping with you tonight. It's not going to happen. That is actually emulated much the same way with footage and cameras and photography. There is an appropriate distance. If you're too far away and you're too low, it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right, right? You're not in a position of authority. The person watching is in the position of authority, but you're doing the show. So you're supposed to be sitting up in a position of authority, straight in line, not slouch. It has a psychological effect, and it's displeasing to the viewer to be put in these weird, uncomfortable situations. Now, sometimes people do it deliberately, like to prove a point, right? In photography and videography and in cinematography, you use these camera angles to create a feeling. If you're really far away, for example, and you zoom in on somebody, you can tell that the camera is far away. And it gives the feeling of peeking in, a voyeuristic kind of feeling, where you're sort of peeking in and trying to overhear what somebody's saying in the background. You're kind of like, ooh, what's that person doing over there? It gives a lot of distance and separation, and those kinds of shots are set up that way. If you're kind of further away, it makes the person detached from the viewer, and you can actually set up a scene to where the viewer sees and gets a sense of disconnect from the subject. You can make the subject feel alone and sad or isolated from everything around them. And you do that by distance. So all of this stuff, you can learn all this shit. And even just in YouTube, I see it a lot. People are set the camera angle up completely wrong. Another thing, too, is you might see somebody describing how, let me go show you this carburetor and take apart the carburetor. And the camera's all the way over there and the person's here. You can see the person mid-shot. And you never see the carburetor because you can't see it because the person thinks that they're supposed to be talking and describing, but most of us YouTubers want to just see this thing, right? So what you set up with is known as an establishing shot. You have the carburetor in your hand. You go, hey, everybody, today I'm going to be talking about this. Or sometimes you'll see me and I'll take a break or go to black, might be a commercial, you'll come back, and you'll see the whole machine sitting on the bench. That's your establishing shot. I might say something, let's get back to work, and then I go in. Because that's what we're working on. It's not about me anymore. Right? So I set up the thing. We're going to be talking about this. This is an establishing shot. Or it could be the whole machine on the table. And then in we go. And I try to change the angles a little bit, but it's a lawnmower show. So, this isn't daytime drama TV. Although at night, sometimes I wonder if it isn't, Let's go to some lawnmowers. Check out some lawnmower shit. Let's see. See, Brett says, my last video, I used 2 cameras. Oh, nice. iPhone at the beginning and the iPad mounted on a tripod. Yeah, I kind of noticed a little something different. I liked it. I liked that video. It was pretty neat. It was a good idea. It was funny because right after you did that, I had these issues with cutting and everything. And I was in the background going 217 all the way. I'm like, I want to see the Time Master, but 217. But then again, I am partial. You know. Brother says, I've actually used a couple of my 4K trail cams and videos. Yeah, and that's another thing, too, because it's just a tool. Mitch Simpson says hello from Illinois. He's in the house. At 4K or 8K, you can see the bacteria on the hairs of somebody's beard. Yeah. Yeah. And not that you need to. Like, just to finish this up, a lot of the shots you see are with the cheaper camera. And Liz was like, she was like enjoying it. And she did these really nice zooms and she pulled away. And I'm like, you should feel the other lens. But I had that camera set up for the stable shots. And you would think, well, this would be better because that camera could do a lot of things better. But you have to pick your tools. And I said, this one I like because it's fun. It's cheaper. It's in automatic. I actually changed the automatic mode slightly more recently, and you'll probably notice it. I've been dialing it a little bit more as I play with them a little bit more and learn more. I said it's fun. It will get the shot. And I think in that video you hear me a couple of times say, don't get too close. It will go out of focus. Yes, it will do that. This lens is not as good. The camera's not as good. But she could see it. She held it super stable. It doesn't have a lot of stability, but she held it really good. She's the second girl that I had take some footage that I was like, surprised. And Brett, your cousin, I think. Some people are just naturals. She was natural. Liz did really good with it. She liked the way she held it. She liked the way it felt in her hand. It does feel nice. She was using the physical zoom on it. She was keeping it at the right distance. She got all the shots. I didn't even really have to tell her. Like I did, but she knew. Very natural. Not everybody does it. I'm not particularly a natural, per se. I get too freaky and too crazy, and I work too fast, and I get too twitchy, and I forget, and I have to learn to put my camera person hat on. But she was a natural with it. And I think that's the thing is, it's not that camera isn't fun. It's special. It's more specialized, and in my brain, I know it. So I tend to reserve it. And so this past week, I've been using it more, just for general duty. It's not that it's not fun. It's got to be fun, and this creates smaller file sizes because it can't capture the image the same way as that one can. But most of the time, I don't need, awesome see the nose hairs in the pockets of your pores of your skin and all that. Like, good enough. It's good enough. Just grab this thing. That's good enough. I don't need anything better than that. Just grab this thing. I don't even need a mic on it. We'll just grab this thing. I think that adds a lot to the natural aspect of a YouTube video. Not that a better camera couldn't do that, but some of it is just that you just need to take the footage and have some fun. And if you can get up to a certain level with the technology, you'll pretty much be guaranteed a pretty decent shot. The other thing is reliability. All right, Mate is going. See you later, man. I want to check out some before we head out because what do we got? Yeah, we got a little bit more time. A little bit more. Let me see if I can find what I wanted to share. And all these machines I was doing. We're going to do a quick little preview. All right, watch this. So this is the chemical I was working with.
All right,
Make sure the audio is okay.
I just happen to have it in a Superclean container, but put it on one of these scrunchie pads, and I don't really like this nozzle. It's more of like a foamy nozzle, so I may change it.
Now it's raw footage.
Let this sort of sit.
And raw audio.
It will remove most of this rust.
and I'm going to go do a few other things. We'll come back. But
it's phosphoric acid.
Like this foamy nozzle. I'm going to change that. We'll let it sit, and then I'll hit it again in about 15-20, just to see. A little scrungy on the back of this, a little kind of like Scotch-Brite style.
I should have had the other camera and the other mic, because it would have come out better, easier.
Better.
But it wasn't that important, and I can tweak this in post.
The sun is kind of back, but
now just look at what I'm doing, and you see how rusty it is, right? And I let it sit. Oh, I had all these projects going on, so I'm like, we'll just come back every now and then, a few times. Hey, Backwoods.
It'll work though. It should. I mean, it's not the normal, usual product that I like.
Yeah, it's a different product.
I wanted to try something different, just to see. Oh yeah, I can smell it.
All right, let's go to the results.
Pocket. Filth.
Big difference, huh?
All right, last applique of this product. I'll let it sit for a little bit. And because I'm almost done out here. So we'll rinse this off last, right before I put everything else away. But she's looking real good. And it leaves a zinc coating on it that will not flash rust. So look at it. It got almost all of the rust off. It's not as good as the product I usually use.
And I'm just like lightly massaging it.
I mean, it's definitely working. And I'm just using Scotch-Brite, so this isn't really even Scotch-Brite. This is the scrungy stuff you get at the cheap dollar store, the $2 store. You know, the $3 store now.
Yeah, the $3 store.
All right.
And then I'd go back to it. I think this is the last time I put it on.
This doesn't have to be.
But I think I put it on maybe 3 times.
Do it again.
And I went off and I was working on other stuff.
Yeah, that looks real good. But for a first pass, it did a nice job. This chrome is almost completely back.
Now, if you wanted to, you could put real Scotch-Brite or some steel wool, billow. But you don't want to scratch the chrome.
You know, stainless wool or just regular steel wool. Or some real Scotch-Brite, it probably would be really nice.
And it doesn't have to be perfect.
But the sun's going down, which is good because it's a little cooler. So this will sit
it's an old machine, so it's going to have some imperfections. But wait till you see what I'm done with this thing. I'm not going to show it tonight because I got to work on it more this week.
All right.
But
you got to have
that's that little edge for the customer.
Just leave it sit.
And it is like a family heirloom now, this thing.
Which, that you don't want. All right, fellas. I got some other stuff to do. Oh, back here. Looks really good. Yeah, that's it. We'll just leave it like that. I'll rinse this out. So, I know you guys are going, well, what product is it? I will show you. I've talked about it many times before and showed it. But you guys got to watch every single one of my videos. Every single one. And every second of it. And if you miss it, too effing bad. Become a fanboy at www.archersgaragefanboy.com.
Oh, let me find the next one. So, this is like a family heirloom. I've talked about this before. Like, I love doing projects like this. Like, this is, like if I would treat it the way I would massage a machine or whatever. I like to make them nice when I can. And this is very low effort. I use it to stabilize metal and to derust metal. And I was talking about that CRC, that other product a lot of people like. You can't use it for stuff like this. You have to let it soak in it and overnight or whatever. That's a great product for making sure that you're not going to destroy, the parent metal and all that. No, this stuff that I'm using here, this phosphoric acid, it'll leave a phosphate or phosphatized sort of zinc coating-ish on the surface, which you can wipe off, but it won't flash rust. So after I rinsed it later that day and I cleaned up, I threw it in the back of the garage, and it's going to sit there for a couple of days. Actually, it's going to wind up sitting there until I'm done with the machine like that, and I wipe off the rest of it and make it shiny, and I might put a little clear on top just to protect it and keep it nice so that the guy will have it looking good. And the rust is stabilized, and most of it is removed, and it didn't destroy the chrome, and there's no additional scratches, and it really didn't require any effort. You could remove all the rust. Now, the product I usually use will take off pretty much all the rust. It's a little bit more aggressive. This is a little bit less aggressive. There are different buffer compounds and stuff that they put in these things, and they give you sort of deliver a different level of performance. This is what you would use on, let's say, an auto body fender or something that's got this pitting and some surface rust or whatever, and you want to remove that and make sure it's etched properly, and then you, after you're done, you clean it off with a wax and grease remover, when you're happy with the results, and then you put your first level of primer on. Usually today, you would put an epoxy primer on and lock everything down, because epoxy primer is not porous. So you spray that epoxy on and let it dry, two-part. That surface is locked down. Now you can start putting, your body work on and whatever else you want to do. And the substrate underneath is locked. Of course, we're not doing that, but, a little clear on top. I mean, just for a little bit of effort, this machine's almost done. It didn't require much. The engine is beautiful, super clean on it just for a little while. The yellowy white gross came to bright white. She's just going to be terrific. It need a belt and need a few other things, and I'll try and order that this week. I've got a few orders to put in. And it's the same thing with some of the lawnmowers when they have these little patches, and I want to touch up the paint a little bit. I'll do some of those. That red one doesn't need anything other than, work. It's in really nice shape, and I think that one's about, it's got to be 2,000 something. The one in the background there, that's the one where the blade's all shaved. I don't know if I have that here. Let me see if I can find that. Kill the next half hour. Yeah, here it is. Hold on. This is crazy what you find. Yeah, just as I thought. All right, so they destroyed this, ground it down or something. That's supposed to be a star. That's absolutely ground down. So this is no good. I don't know if I have another one of these. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to order one. I'll have to look and see. I think it was like last year, I had a rash of these stars stripped out and blades and missing, and I bought a whole bunch of lawnmowers. I didn't have any, so I'm like, I think I'm just out of blades and out of that adapter, that hub. So I'm going to pick up a couple because I have a few more machines to do. So at this point now, this is what it looked like when I got it. Okay, actually not too bad underneath here. I'm not sure what that blade is, though. That does not look like the right blade. Yeah, see all these the usually. Hold on, let me back up. Speaking of blades, like these teeth. You see all of the. I'll back up a little bit more. You see what you got. So you got the one on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those sort of U notches on this blade. Don't know, where it came from. I don't think it's original. It could be. I mean, somebody was fooling with this thing, so I doubt it. But there's a few varieties of these kinds of blades. I'm not sure what that blade is, though. That does not look like the right blade. These usually have like these teeth, star pattern. Let's get that off and take a look at that. Yeah, as we know. What else did I find? This is my favorite. Everybody's favorite. Well, it's the usual filth. Gee, you think? I don't think he's ever replaced the filter. Yeah, and the filter's so certainly cheap. It's not had any oil in it of any appreciable amount in a long time. There's just a tiny amount of oil. We'll get it cleaned up. He said he used it, but meanwhile the tank is completely bone dry. Like, what did he use it and then dump the fuel to conserve $1 and then give it to me? No. Like, I don't buy. And sometimes people just lie. They just do. He's like, I'm thinking it's a good idea to kind of maybe have it serviced now.
Serviced.
Okay? Let's take a peek underneath here, and I'll pull the bolts out, but I'm not going to pull the top off until after we wash it. We'll turn it.
I think. I get the, yeah, all right.
Well, in there looks pretty good.
He thinks the wheels are fine.
Not only is it worn, but you can see the gears are mashed. See? So it was starting to jam up. See it all? And then all the junk is in it. That's mashed there. So I'm just sending them pics and stuff. Some people they're like, just put it back together. Well, I won't put that blade back on.
No, I won't do that.
That's not safe. So if I make it run, I'll take that blade off and I'll hand it back to him. And he can put it on.
Yeah.
And, because some people they're really silly with stuff. They're just weird with it. That's why I usually just take these machines, I buy them for cheap, and I put them together the way I want, and then I sell them for what I want. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
that's
get this
so
thing
much
down.
easier.
I'm gonna give it a cleaning.
Yeah, that needs to be said. To me, it's so much easier. If he had given me a guff in any way and said, well, it's fine, I don't know why. You know what? Here's your lawnmower. It runs. Well, welcome the blade's not on, because I told you I will not put a blade like that on like that. All right? You can put it on. I never touched it. I'm not putting it on. It runs. I don't care what you do with it, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. I won't put a blade on like that. Here, it's yours. Okay? Because, that's just not safe. It's not right. It's not safe. Let me find something else. Hold on. I'm trying to find this shot here. Let's see. I'll show you guys what I did with the shed before we pack out of here. Well, I did just pick up these pieces of shit. Hold on. So a little bit inventory incoming in. Just a few things.
All right, fellas. Mikey was here. So this is Mikey dropping off some stuff. I actually like these. He was thinking about me. These are the nicer ones, I think. They're the rear-wheel drive with the big wheels.
Yeah, I like
that. It's a little bit beefier. It's got the easy walk, pull behind, whatever you want to call it. Hold on. Looks like somebody replaced the pull cord already. It doesn't want to go. I don't know why. Probably the bag's in the way. Yeah, the easy walk. I actually like these. So, we don't know what's going on there. Who the hell knows? With a bag. The nice platinum. These are the slightly newer ones. This is actually one I would want to keep if I was going to keep one of these. I mean, I like the front wheel drives, but this one's kind of more unique. Lawn Boy with two bags, two different kinds of bags, which is good, because there are some differences in the models. The Kohler, somebody's had it apart. I probably have the parts for it, but somebody's been jimmying it. But it looks like they put the bolts back, so we might be able to do something with that. Then we got this one here, which is a pseudo Kohler. It's really a Kohler. I mean, it's actually a little bit nicer shape. Yardman
on the crappy body.
I have to see. I have another one of these bodies that are mint. It's absolutely mint. It needs the handle and an engine because I think the crank is bent. But we could just maybe part this one out for this guy. This is parts, just junk. He was there, he picked it up. Give him a couple bucks for it. There's really not much I want on it, but we'll take a peek. I think it's missing a carburetor. Yeah, somebody's been at it. But, I don't know how long it's been out like this. This does not seem right. This is a Craftsman, but with the gray bottom, with a Takami green top.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's right, but the bottom's in nice shape. A little newer wheel design. They're in good shape with the high wheel in the back. We don't have a bag for it.
Those bags are kind of hard to find.
We'll see what comes of it. Then we got these two bags. Well, three bags here. So we got a Power Smart bag, which looks like everybody else's bag almost. Yeah. This is a Toro, older design, and a Craftsman design. Those are the designs that often don't fit a lot of things. A lot of them, the older bodies, they just change it so many times. All right, let me put this stuff away and show you the next thing.
All right, I see. I just wanted to show you what I was doing in the shed real quick. Hold on. Let me find that. We'll get out of here in a minute. Let me, I think that is, I'm working on that project, actually. Hey, you want to see the project? Hold on. A load up DaVinci. Bring DaVinci online. Oh, there's Backwoods. Hey, Backwoods. Were you here before? I don't remember. I don't remember anything. I have the memory of a pea. So here's the project array. Hold on. Current projects coming and going. Let's see. There's red shells, Liz's van, mowers, computer project, batteries and solar, Arch after hours. Yeah, red shed. So this is actually the DaVinci project here. Hold on. It's loading on its usual monitor. Oh, hopefully I can change it. Let's see. Let's see. Let's just see what my CPU 3.8% utilization. No dropped frames. Over 6,000 kilobytes per second on my 30 frames on the live. Not bad for a 10-year-old computer, huh? Well, let's see. Watch, I'm going to crash it by using this. Let's see. So let's come back to this segment here. Yeah. I'll just scrub through it. All right, that's better. So to put that shelf in, we needed to take out this bar. So I started fooling around with this. In. Just be careful helping it to stay. I wanted to, but you'll see why. Jeff gave me these. Stick your hand in, there'll be other fuel cans. I trimmed that so it's fitting close. And let's just come to here. Let's see. I'm just kind of cruising around. So this is the wall of the shed. It would have been nice to just drop something on there. I'm just trying to lay it out. And then, let's see. So I had all of this material. So let's go in the shed. I was cutting it up. You go in the shed and remove. This is all scrap. Shit got left out for years. A whole rack of plywood, a whole unit of plywood, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. And I said, you know what? Why don't I just clean it all up, but cut the crap off of it? Like there's some sections here, and like I mentioned earlier, we're going to need some strapping. See how it rotted? So some of this is still somewhat useful. Let's take a walk over. It was all up along the fence for many years. It was laying in a pile. It was laying as a unit with a cover over it. It started rotting there. Here's a section I cut off. Little pieces like that are useful for putting onto jack stands. There's a bunch of useful stuff. So we'll cut that off in a bit. But it just takes forever to do work like that because you're trying to piece things together. Look at this one. We got a good edge. We turn around. I'm going to try and get about 2 feet out of it. We'll get 2 feet-ish. Down here, it'll taper off, but we might want that. All right, let's see what we get out of this one. So just experimenting with what could I possibly get out of this? And let me switch to the actual project page. And you see what I wound up with. I got to find it. Here it is. So here's another shot looking in. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. All right, this is all raw footage here. But we trim this. So that's on there good. This is basically bolted up tight. So that's a nice set of shelves. Made one more short rack up here. Again, try to get some of my steel and aluminum and scrap and things like that. Probably don't even need to screw it down. Some people will think so. I don't think so. Like a corridor of junk. Yeah. It's a tough time of year to do that, but this is a good time of year, though. Holy shit! Take a look. There's still more in the shed. Create like a corridor of junk. Well, it's not all junk. Some people will think so. I don't think so. But some of you guys are like, what the hell is all this crap, Art? What the hell are you doing? Got to get that guy out back there behind the big bright light in your way. It's the snapper. But that's for another day. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, we're getting there.
Hold on. Is this? Yeah, I think this is. I'm almost done.
So dark. 9 o'clock or something. I don't know. Still going. I got most of it in. I think I'm just going to go grab all these bags now. These are clean. Shovels I don't care about right now, but if I just throw the bags in, the bags are clean and they're dry. So I'll just shove them in there.
Look at how much shit I packed in.
I don't care about. Well, you can't even see it. I'll shove the air compressor in. You can't see that. That bag of Sacrete. Actually, that bag of Sacrete is mostly no good. It's actually Portland cement. Just shove this stuff over here for now. We're going to be using them this weekend.
So all the fuel is down below.
Got the broken Intech pressure washer, which I got to go over. It's a nice one. All right, let me keep going. We'll put these away. A couple of things here. Throw them down. I got this nice
let me open up
membrane that I want to get out of that car.
Let me open up the folder.
Other things before it rains, and then the rest I don't care about.
Because there's one more video.
We'll get to the rest later, and then I'll throw the compressor in. Honda's in the garage, but there'll be room for the Honda. So what has to still go in here is the bigger rototiller, which needs to be cleaned and then put away, defueled. And I got to clean off the lawn boy, and I can shove that in here. And then the Honda. There's enough room for that.
So I made that other shelf there. See that? There's a lot of weight up on these two shelves.
It is.
I made that one there as well. Yeah, last shot. Hold on, it's going to open up in the other. It's going to open up in this one. Let's move this out of the way. Let's open this one up.
Yeah, I managed to cut the lawn over here and grind up some of the crap and get all the stuff that's been laying here for, I don't know, a week. And a little bit better.
There we go.
You know, I got enough room for a pressure washer and a Honda. And this I don't know what to do, but pretty much everything I need is in here. Of course, this is not fully organized, so we got, like I said, I got all the fuel and stuff down there. This is like pull starts, starter motors, brackets. I'm going to try and put more of that here. This is just miscellaneous for right now. Got these guys hung up. We got some more room over here. I want to clean up there, like I said. We'll get to that another day. I have some more room here for another motor and a few other things. Just some heads and stuff. I think I have more in the basement of the shop.
Yeah, not really fully organized yet.
That's good in case, somebody spins a flywheel and something goes wrong. Sometimes it really screws up the flywheel. And we got the little rototiller over there, the bigger rototiller over there. I got another rototiller I just got in. To show you guys that in a bit. And so this we want to get to at some point. That stuff can stay there. That thing is going to be sold. That's a pressure washer with the nice overhead valve. Probably sell that to my sister. I got to get to that. This guy, the motor's getting so tired now. Yeah, I think if it's not this year, then next year we're gonna put a fresh motor on it. A newer motor with the same tins and everything, same configuration. We're just gonna repower. All right, fellas. I think I've had enough. I still got some more stuff to do.
What a mess I made. All right, come back. All right, now what did I do with? Hold on. I have to rearrange and organize. Close that out. Those shelves are very heavy duty. And that's really the key. So Johnny's out of here too. Yeah, I'm out of here too in a minute. They had to be strong enough to hold all that weight. All those motors, and that's all heavy stuff. So that's pretty much what I figured I wanted a couple of areas, because I have a lot of motors outside. And I have motors in a few in this basement, and I have a few in the basement of the house. So I probably have, 30 some odd different motor sizes and configurations and weights and whatever, just off the top of my head. What do you do with all of this stuff? Well, the thinking was I want an area out there to handle some of the things I don't want getting wet. So if a motor's apart, I'm not storing it outside. If it's a decent motor
and it's like in really, really nice shape, I need to have it inside somewhere. If it's just some piece of thing that I took off of a body, whatever, and I haven't cleaned it or touched it, I'm trying to set up an area outside. I have these plastic racks, and I want to put plastics outside. I want to get because I have a lot of plastic in here. Plastic doesn't need to be in here, in the shop, in premium space, real estate. It needs to be in you could put them in boxes, like storage bins, whatever. But I was thinking I might just go get some new garbage pails, with nice closable lids, and just throw it in. Have a few different ones, organize a little bit. But most of that stuff is like the in-case shit. You want the stuff in the best possible shape. Some of these machines are getting older. I've acquired a lot of it over time. I don't want to just throw it out. I threw out a whole ton of gas tanks, and you can sell that stuff. It will, if you want to hawk it and ship it. But I'd rather just keep some of the best stuff and throw them inside of some containers. And if I really need one, big deal. I'll dump the container out on the ground and I'll sort through it and see what I have. A lot of it in here is organized. Things that do break are like Honda carburetor covers and the back plates and stuff like that. The tabs break off and whatever. So I try to keep that organized. But they're all in cardboard boxes. So it's either I stick them in something plastic and put them outside, or I got to find another spot. But keeping everything in here, and my collection of carburetors and starter motors and all this other stuff, I just have so much of it. I don't know what to do with it all. Honestly, you don't want to throw it out. I got a lot of, Honda carbs and stuff. I've got a handful of Kohlers, lots of Briggs coils and whatever, boxes and boxes of this stuff. I do use it from time to time. I don't always buy new because a lot of times, the price points on these machines, people don't want to spend money. They want you to just fix it, and they want a cheap price. A lot of people ask me, well, how long do you think I'll get out of it? When I say, 2-3 years before you need to do something to it, or longer than you want. They're in their mind, they're thinking, I want to either go buy a new machine or I want to buy electric. So they don't want to spend money. And you're going to have a lot of repairs for the next couple of years. But like I said on one of my other episodes, I'll get you ahead in this, is that we're at that point where it's the end of the road for a lot of these machines. The nicer ones, the more esoteric, like that little trimmer or, edger or whatever, people will have some interest in them for a while. But the stuff that's more commonplace, people are eyeing it differently. If they don't have a lot of money, they maybe want to hold on to something. Maybe it's been in the family. They want to fix it, but they don't want to spend a lot of money. They may not even have it. They want to get a few more years out of it. They're realizing that they're either going to have to buy something new in gas, or that they're just eyeing the electric, but they're just not ready. Or they want to wait a little bit longer. They want to go electric. So a lot of this stuff is just going to go disappear. And that means that you're going to need some used parts or cheap parts to keep these things going for another few years. And my suspicion is within the 5-year time frame, a lot of the stuff that we do for just the general bread and butter is going to go bye-bye. You're going to have to be more specialized on some level. We could talk about that on another episode. We have talked a little bit about it before, but I think it is the never-ending sort of conversation for now. As the years unfold and as the months unfold, the seasons unfold. Thanks for stopping in this live hangout, because I do enjoy it. It's a good opportunity to just sort of hang out and whatever and just chat with my friends. And so thanks, everybody, for coming. And I'm going to go out of here because the lady of the house made spare ribs and rice and some fried zucchini. And I only ate like a plateful. And I'm thinking about another plateful. I'll see you guys in the next one.